hours to run around 20 miles. So that'll be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Coming off a nice little victory at Sugar Badger too.
This is the same gal?
Yeah.
She did. She had
First place overall
she was first
finish.
place overall.
Yeah.
At Sugar Badger at the end of May.
Yeah, so they're saying it hit 90 out there today, which is it's pretty. You know, I don't think you think that when you think Kettle 100 in Wisconsin in June.
Oh,
right?
no.
Sure.
I don't think the first thing that comes to your mind is like, is it going to be in the
Oh,
90s?
a hot race, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, it could get hot.
Yeah.
You know,
It's supposed to be springish.
yeah.
I mean, that's Midwest weather for you. It could have rained the whole time. I mean, it was raining on our drive up here.
On our drive up.
Put it out there. So if you guys have friends out there, let them know that you guys are on now.
Absolutely.
Yes,
We
you gotta
sent out a big
Send
text,
out
text message, like,
Yep.
hey,
Text
guys.
message, Instagram, let them know.
Looking forward to watching us.
Time to tune in. You
We're
guys
not
are
running.
some
We're
company too, so
Oh, yeah.
let them know. Bring the questions, and it should be very exciting.
Absolutely. So this is fun to be able to see, and we can see all the comments here. So if somebody
Yeah, if somebody has a question,
has a
comments,
question or a comment, we
Yeah,
can
I'm
talk
trying to
about
get
it.
the run racing that for the live tracking.
Yeah, we had a little. That's been a little bit more difficult, but it comes up every now and then. Just gotta
Yeah.
be patient.
Yeah.
So,
See
and
how
then
the
you guys
speed
should have
boat's
some
going.
callers in.
Cool.
So that'll be exciting. We got to talk to Dean.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Did
Dean.
you really?
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
he was in. He was awesome. Imparted some good wisdom.
Yeah.
Then we got to talk to Jeff Browning as well.
Oh, cool.
So
Have those guys ran this race before?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Although Dean said he's coming next year.
Oh, that'd be exciting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We got the speed goat this year, though.
We
Got
do.
Speed
Well,
Go.
Uh-huh.
Very
I think
exciting.
he's in about 10th place right now.
Okay.
So he's grinding away. He's
Yeah.
getting it done. So that's good for him.
Yeah, he's a no pacer kind of guy.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. Where you
Purist.
said
Yeah.
he doesn't believe in pacers.
Yeah.
Fair
it's
enough.
Not a bad thing.
I've never had one myself, but I don't know if I've needed one yet. That's awesome. So he's intense. So James, you're able to look up.
Yeah,
The
you know,
standings?
I'm trying to.
Mm.
It's a little, like Juan said, it's a little bit slow right now.
Well, it's funny that I mean, races are always out in the middle of,
Oh,
of
yeah.
nowhere essentially, which is perfect for the terrain and perfect for races. Not necessarily for technology, but
We don't need it.
right? Who needs it?
That's fine.
Yeah, Michelle, she commented that she was happy to hear that we got to run today.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good, yeah.
You got to check the course out,
Yeah.
And so we were like, let's get a little run in today and check it out. And we brought our pup with us. She's outside in the crate, so she's going to be an ultra pup at some point when she gets old enough.
Yeah.
So that was fun to be able to see all the different runners and get a feel for. It's very runnable. I mean, the course itself, at least the small chunk we did, is very runnable, I thought.
Yeah, so we talked about that earlier. The whole course is actually run. You can run the whole course.
Absolutely, right.
So either through training or through the other things that pretty much run the whole course. The whole course is runnable.
Right.
We're also talking how that might not be that good, right?
Sure,
Right.
sure.
It's like really,
Yeah.
I can
it
keep
really, yes, it really takes like some self-discipline
Right.
to be like, okay, I'm going to walk this hill.
Yeah,
Not because maybe
exactly.
I have to, but because it's the right thing to do to
Probably,
make sure I
yeah.
finish 100 miles,
Yeah,
you know?
like,
so,
With those rolling hills, it's like you have to make that decision with including like what mile are you at?
Yeah.
And can you afford to do it?
yeah.
So
And they'll start beating up your legs in the later stages, you
Yeah.
know? If
Right.
you decide, I'm running all of them, you know? You
yeah.
might be in trouble.
Or
you
you
know,
you
so.
decide in the first 50K you're gonna run all the hills, and then you're telling yourself the second 50K you're gonna take it easy. It's like
Yeah.
it might come back to get you, or it might give you a cushion of some time that you were looking for.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
it's hard to say. Maybe it takes more experience to really dial that in.
To dial it in and pace yourself, especially 'cause for me personally, like if I can run it, I should probably be running it. But then it's like, these hills, it's like take it easy a little bit, spread it out. And it does take a lot of, ultra running in general is a sport that takes time to
Yeah.
get good at, to learn. I mean, the races take significant amounts of time. The training takes time. So it's like you have to learn what what you can do. And when I started, was just like, I'm going to run all of it until I can't anymore, and then we're walking all of it.
Yeah.
And that works, maybe for some people. But as you get better at it, you can end up running an entire race. But a lot of ultra running is ultra walking. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
People think you run every step. It's like, well, maybe down the line you get really, really good
like
at
for
it.
example, this when we ran Earth Day this past April, I came out there thinking, it was a shorter mileage race that compared to what we've been doing the past weekends. So
it's just
I figured
50K.
I figured I'd try to run all the hills, and then by the time that last loop came, I was kind of struggling on the hills.
Right, and
ended up having to walk them all.
Right, and the last loops are only 5-ish miles.
Yeah.
5 and some change, so they're not huge loops by any means, but they're digestible for sure. But
I didn't think I thought it was an intermediate course, Earth Day.
Earth Day out on Veteran Acres, right?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
No, I would say intermediate. I wouldn't say it's a beginner course. What do people say about Kettle? Is it more in the middle?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. That's if I was gonna guess, I would say if you're from the area, I don't know. I've been out here this time of year, so I guess I know how hot it gets.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, because that definitely plays a factor.
That definitely plays a factor,
Absolutely.
right? Especially because we're in a weird time where sometimes we have cold weather super late, right? So you might be training in 50-degree weather all the way through like May, maybe you're starting to get into the 60s or something like that. And I mean, I think 3 weeks ago we had highs in the like low 50s, and at night it was in the 40s,
Yes.
And here we are 3 weeks later, and we have a high of 90.
Yeah.
So like your opportunity to really maybe get in training in warmer weather, it might not be there.
No, the acclimation
Yeah.
absolutely is an issue for sure.
Yeah, so I think the course in general, in terms of difficulty, I would say it's maybe a little bit harder than beginner, but I don't think it would be bad for your first ultra, you know what I mean?
Sure,
I think it's a good course for that, I think it'd be fine. You just have to remember that it could end up being super, super hot,
Yep.
But I think the course is super doable for a first-time ultramarathoner.
Yeah.
So.
Right, and allocating fluids appropriately, especially with the heat, that's huge.
Plus, Ornery Mule always puts on great aid stations with.
Yeah.
Those guys are always helping you get up and get out.
Yep. And
all the aid stations.
There's a lot of aid stations. I know some people might hate like a double out and back course, but I feel like if you're doing your first ultra, it could be beneficial because you know what the course is.
Right.
Yep.
Very rapidly. You know what I mean? So you know what to expect. You know where the aid stations are.
Yep.
They're not too far apart. So
you don't feel too far from home. Like it's not.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm out and I'm never coming back.
Yeah. You're not stuck climbing some mountains where 7 miles from an aid station where you're like, oh, this is horrible. So I think it's good. It's a good race.
I agree. And I mean, like I said, the couple of miles we got to run was comfortable. I mean, it's like trails are always so much more fun because it's like it's such an easier run on your legs instead of pavement running and things like that. So it's definitely would encourage somebody to want to run the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have a hard time deterring myself from not wanting to run the hills and whatnot.
Yep. And granted, we did only run a small section, but I didn't find it very technical either.
Also, that's also true. It's not super technical. There's not a lot of things in the way.
Yeah, not terribly bad. So I've been in some race where I feel like I'm running on like a creek bed or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, so it's definitely not, As it gets dark, they probably have to look out. There's probably going to be some areas where there's some roots and stuff like that. And then some of the hills, the steeper climbs will have rocks, stuff like that. But overall, not very technical, no. So, not too bad at all.
Yeah.
So now it's probably getting dark out there. So the
headlamps
are coming on right now, I'm sure, and this can be kind of a tough part for some, especially I'd say new runners running overnight. If you're not used to it, I would say majority of runners probably run during the day or at dawn, but like during daytime hours. So the overnight stuff, the midnight, the 1 in the morning.
That's where you can get some real big lows.
Right.
That's where a lot of the battle
Can't
starts.
see as well. You know, you've been out there already for hours upon hours. It's dark. It might get lonely because you might be by yourself. You know, and so this can be the grind.
Even for like a seasoned runner, I mean, being at night, that heat could have really taken out of you during the day.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I mean, making sure what we saw, the course was very well marked, but you still have to look out for those because there are some horse trails that go off.
Yes.
Yeah, so throughout the course, there is several other intersecting trails, I guess, so to speak, right?
Right,
so
right.
you are going to have to pay attention, make sure you don't get lost. Yeah.
I thought it was exceptionally well marked in terms of the flags, like the small Ornery Mule flags, and then like we had parked near clearly a horse trail, so we ended up running on like some sand to get to the actual human trail because there was a gal out there with the horses talking about humans or horses.
Yeah, there's a horse race going on.
But even the course markings like had arrows like wrong way, heading this way, so it was very clearly marked, which helps you take it out of your head. Like when you're running and you're near the end of your race, you've been in it for over 12, 13, 15 hours, you don't want to think. Yeah. You don't want to have to panic and be like, wait a second, did I just get off the course? And so it's nice to just go, oh, there, all right, we're good. All right, we're good. And be on track, especially if you haven't seen somebody for a while. Yeah. That can get to your head a little bit. Yeah. If you haven't seen a person for a long time. Yep. So I thought it was great how well marked everything is. I don't want to have to think.
That's an interesting thing about ultra running too, as opposed to like marathon running, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times you're running on the trails where if you're a quarter mile away from somebody, you probably are not seeing them. You know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely.
Like they're just where if you're in a marathon, a guy quarter mile, you could clearly see him. He's right there,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you might go 2 hours with someone a quarter mile ahead of you, and you don't see him at all. You're like, I'm here by myself. There's no one around. Where is everybody?
Exactly. You maybe see a headlamp.
Yeah, maybe.
And then the mind starts playing some tricks on you. Yeah. Exhaustion.
And then you maybe start hearing the bells and the cheers when you get closer to the next aid station,
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I think I'm getting closer. And so, it is. It could be very... This is a transition point for a lot of people, right?
Right here, right now.
This time of day, right?
Right.
Now it's starting to sink in. Potentially, you woke up this morning, it was still dark out. You've seen the sun come up. You started the race super early. The sun's going down. It's dark. It's sinking in that you just ran all day.
Yep.
And potentially you have all night into tomorrow running, So,
how much longer are we doing this for?
Yeah, exactly. Now is definitely a point where people could definitely start having some lows of like, oh man, it's nighttime. It's starting to cool off a little. You're like,
might get cold. Exactly.
Get cold,
I get cold easy. It could be 68 degrees and I would start getting cold.
Where does the bonk line call into?
The bonk line? I'm not sure about that.
James, you were talking about that.
Hopefully we get some calls overnight.
That would be very fun.
Yeah. Perfect.
Hopefully
we're here for you guys.
Yeah, we're here for you.
We'll talk you through it. That would be I love that part. That's probably one of my favorite parts is the camaraderie.
Yeah.
It was super fun to see all the runners we were seeing today and just giving them kudos. And everybody, I mean, it's so funny. They were saying good job to us too.
Oh, yeah.
we're not racing. But thanks, And that was kind of fun because it's like such an automatic community. Like you'll always, hey, you look really good. Nice job. Keep it up. And they're like, yeah, you too. Because it's like you stay positive and you just keep your head in a good place.
Yeah.
That's the number one trick.
Yeah. For me,
stay upbeat.
Whether someone means it or not, my favorite compliment is, oh, you look good. Even though I don't feel good.
Yeah. So lie to me.
That's all I say. That's all I kept saying today. It's like, oh, you look really good.
Yeah.
You look really good. Like every runner.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think someone had said that to me one of the races, and it really just turned my mood around.
I remember it. Just your headspace completely flipped. So it's like, that's... Totally. Hey, then that's what if it works for you, it's going to work for somebody else.
Yeah, hopefully.
Spread the love.
I mean, we easily...
It was funny to see. I mean, we ran into everybody running this race that we knew. It was so funny that 2-mile stretch coming into that aid station was such a hoot to see Magdalena, DJ, who else? You saw Eric
Bloomquist, who really looked good.
He looked really good. Eric, you looked We weren't lying to you.
Yeah.
Like, you
no, it's no lie. He looks strong.
Fresh as a daisy.
Yeah.
43 miles in or whatever that point was, 40 miles in.
You even had the energy to stop and chat with us.
Yeah, like walked off and then came back.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, don't waste any steps. I can hear you. Like, don't keep coming at me. It's okay. Double handheld. Like he was looking really good. He didn't look like he was struggling at all. So that was cool.
Yeah.
So it's always really fun to see.
He's getting paced overnight tonight by local legend Ornery Mule, Jeff Leonard.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because we saw Jeff at
did.
the aid station,
Yep.
so that's cool. So he's getting paced. Was it at that aid station?
No,
or
I
was
think
it
at
later
100K.
On? At 100K? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So
Cool.
soon, maybe in a couple hours, he'll pick up Jeff.
Okay.
Because that was at mile 43.
That's true. That's right. So local legend Jeff Leonard, right?
Yep.
And what was your first time meeting him?
Oh, my first time meeting Jeff was at Farmdale, my first 100. And we ran
That was
together.
in 2019.
2019,
right?
we ran together for a while. And he just ran me into the ground.
Oh.
I tried to keep up with Jeff.
Jeff,
and
if you're watching,
for
this is
40
true.
miles, he ran me into the ground.
This is true. I've never seen this guy more beat up in my life.
Later on, he told me that he did it on purpose.
Of course he did. This young kid trying to run with him. I would have ran you into the
He
ground
said,
too.
I saw you as competition. I was like, get out of here, man.
Yeah.
That's my first 100.
Yeah.
There's no mercy out there on the
No,
trail.
there isn't.
Not really.
But then after the race, it's all good.
Yeah, after the race.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
Yeah, it's been cool. You've been really, James, really good with getting with the social networking and in terms of making friends and making connections. And I think that's huge for this community. And Ornery Mule has done a good job at creating that community.
Yep.
In terms of networking and connections and giving cool opportunities and really interesting, unique experiences. And so I'm not as good with the social media. James is always my social media connections.
Ambassador.
You're the social media ambassador. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Out of the team.
Yep.
So that's Jeff. That's a true story. So it's I'm glad that you can at least admit to it.
Yeah. I got him back though.
Oh yeah. So this is great so far. So how did my phone not load any of
No,
the?
not yet. We're still waiting.
Well, this is really exciting. So, is this the first time that the Ornery Mule has done a live broadcast like this?
I believe so.
Okay.
So obviously they have the podcast, right? So
right. We got the
if you guys are unaware of the podcast, there's a podcast. They pump out a ton of them.
I love
ton
it.
of good people.
Yes.
So definitely watch the podcast.
Absolutely.
But I think this is the first time doing it live.
So for the 25th anniversary, we're doing live commentary.
Doing big things.
Yeah.
Well, it's so interesting with how the pandemic kind of played into everything kind of being like a lot more focus on like podcasts and still out in virtual things. It's cool that, hey, let's start doing this and start doing this. And I feel like it's really exciting how like things have exploded on YouTube and exploded on podcasting and providing like kind of a cool community outreach without actually having to be here. You can still experience Kettle Moraine, and still enjoy the experience, but you can watch it, and listen to it, meet some cool people, talk to some cool people, listen, get some live feed, or some highlights. That's pretty cool.
Maybe you had something else going on. Maybe it's your kid's birthday or something.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I can't go to the race.
Exactly, right. I can't.
You got to have a birthday party. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it could be anybody. People around. Maybe they just want to check out, see what the race is like, hear some updates. Talk running.
Yeah,
right? That's fun. We've had some awesome guests on so far. We got more guests planned.
That's so exciting.
People like that. You guys get to pick their brains. Ask them questions.
That's exciting.
Was there somebody calling in, or are we not having any guests for the next few hours?
I thought I saw the schedule at 9 p.m. I think Mike McKnight might be calling in.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's
Mike
exciting.
McKnight, the FKT holder for the Colorado Trail.
Yes, that was this year, right? Or was
that 2020?
That was 2020
during the pandemic. Yep.
Got it. Okay, cool.
A lot of FKTs got taken
year
down.
of FKTs.
Yes, it was.
Because it was the year of no races. So
Year of no
I mean,
races.
I think
gotta do something cool.
Corey Woltering got a few of them.
Yeah.
I think he got the Ice Age Trail and the Pinhoti.
Okay.
Yep. I think he did that one this year.
Yeah. Yep.
So the only 2 times I ran over the ultra distance this year was with Corey.
Oh,
Pacing
cool.
him during the Ice Age Trail.
Are you
Oh,
serious?
did you?
Yeah,
Oh, that was
one
fun.
47 miler and one 50K.
Okay.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I had
it's
no
pretty cool.
idea.
Yeah. I heard that. I saw they were putting up videos on YouTube of him going through some aid stations,
yeah.
getting crewed by his husband, right?
Yep. That was I mean, if you got to go out and like see him at any point, that was an amazing thing, man. That guy just really grinded through that. And I've run with Corey quite a bit. He's a super tough guy. Really nice guy, but man, he's a tough SOB,
He's a killer,
dude.
for
He
sure.
he can grind him out. He can grind. I think that's the biggest thing is that guy can grind. He knows how to keep going, you know. He knows how to get it done.
What's
so.
fun about Corey is that on Ultra Sign Up, if you just flip through the random races, he's got a picture and like a ton of like the image for the race.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
got a few of them on there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Of him, which is great. In his signature kit,
Yeah.
the Speedo.
Yep, the Speedo.
Oh yeah.
He ran Frozen Gnome and has the course record on Frozen Gnome.
I was trying to remember. There was some
think it was
race, and I thought it was an
2018.
Ornery Mule race.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he had the fast. Yeah, he had the course record for something, but it wasn't coming to me. I
For
knew
Frozen
you'd know
Gnome
it.
50K, I think he definitely went sub 4, for sure.
Which Frozen Gnome is not a joke.
No, it's no joke.
Frozen Gnome
Yeah.
is frozen.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in
Different kind of
February,
weather.
right?
It's
Or
in January.
January?
It's January.
Yeah.
Yeah, January. Yeah, so that's cold.
Oh yeah.
That's really cold up here.
That's
So
not a
for
game.
everybody from like the Southwest or wherever you live, where when it gets to 40 degrees and you're like, it's so cold.
Oh my god.
Like January, February, we might have like 0-degree weather,
Right.
right?
Oh yeah.
So we have
Snow.
weather where it gets to the point where it's like, I'm not sure it's safe to run outside right now.
Right. Like
You know?
if any skin is exposed, it could get like
Yeah.
like frostbite. Like quite literally, you have to be.
Like if you have a buff on and you breathe through it, the outside gets frozen.
Yes,
Absolutely,
yes.
you get ice crystals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually,
Yeah.
the only really cool thing about like back in March of 2020 was when we transitioned to having to wear masks. Like I'm used to wearing a buff. Like when it was freezing out, you'd be running, you wear a buff over your face because all the precipitation.
Yeah.
Like it just this part gets real cold. Like this not comfortable. Like when this is all cold. So to me, wearing a buff was like, well, that's normal, you
Yeah.
know. But that's ultra running for you. But the Frozen Gnome course with course with the elevation, like it's pretty hilly. It's
Yes.
icy and snowy, right? Because you've actually ran it on the course. I've never
Yes.
done
I
that.
ran it in 2020, the only Ornery Mule race that they held that year.
Yeah, before it got shut down. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a good race too.
Sad times.
Yeah.
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 You know, even though not everyone can get together for these races, I thought the way they put together the virtual races kind of helped get people together. I know for me at least,
Yeah.
you know, because I forget what website they use, but you're able to, like I did the Freeze My Ass Off. And so you input your miles on this website, and then you can see everyone inputting their miles, and you can see like, oh, this person from Canada is putting these miles in, and you look them up on Facebook,
Yeah.
and then now you're connecting with people again.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was a different way that I didn't anticipate, you know.
People being able to come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through virtual races.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So-
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was saying earlier, so last year I was supposed to run the Kettle 100,
Okay.
and then COVID happened and got canceled.
Right.
So then we got rolled this year. I was supposed to run it this year, and then I broke my leg in March.
Oh.
So it's like, oh, maybe next year.
So
Yeah.
if everything's coming together nicely
I-
for you.
It's healing, yeah. So I'm in the beginning stages of walking,
Sure.
like without a boot and crutches and stuff like that. So
That is well, congratulations for being kind of coming back into the stages of being able to walk independently again.
I guess
Yeah.
really I'm just whining about not being able to race.
100%.
Yeah, it's gonna end up being like
Heartbreaking.
2 years without me getting to run a race. And
Absolutely.
At least you
Yeah.
came out. I mean, the FOMO must be experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can get really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of races being run without me.
Oh
get
yeah.
back.
Well, everything. I mean, especially with 2020 happening and then everything getting deferred,
Yes.
you know, and whatnot. So it's like our schedule's outrageously busy.
Yeah.
With all the, it's like once a month for
Yep.
the next until through
the rest of-
December
for the rest of the year.
pretty
Yep.
much. There's some
Ultras.
race. Yeah.
Yes.
All
Hey, that's how you
ultras.
get if you can do it. That's how you get experience fast.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. Just make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it
Just
happen.
keep signing up.
Signing up. Just keep signing up. James is like, all right, we're doing this race. Okay. All right, I can do it. We'll got this. All right, we got this. Do they have a distance I want to do? Yeah, it's usually he chooses. That's the job, is that he chooses the race, and I say, all right, I sign off on it.
Yep.
Like, all right, I guess.
How far are you guys traveling this year? What's the farthest race, do you think? Or all local?
A majority of them are
Right.
local in the Midwest, but we have actually signed up for rolled over Spartan races
Okay.
from last
God.
year.
March of 2020, that weekend, right before St. Patty's Day, when everything ended up shutting down, we had a race in San Luis Obispo, a Spartan Ultra. And I think it was a back-to-back Ultra and then a B, something like that.
Yeah.
And when they announced it that Thursday, the race was Saturday, that they were canceling the race, they were going to be able to defer it and refunds and whatnot, but couldn't refund the flight, couldn't refund the, this isn't in California. So we still flew out there.
Went on vacation?
You still had, I mean, yeah, like it was, I couldn't get a refund on the money. I was like, well, we either lose it or we don't. So we still traveled out there to San Luis, ran, and there was no COVID out in San Luis at the time.
Not yet.
Not yet, at least. And then we were able to roll everything over. So the farthest race weekend we have is we have one in Florida in December, and one in the Carolinas in November. But those are Spartans that are all ultra distances.
Nice.
Because they gave a bunch of not only refunds, but here's more deferral codes. So it's like, well, all right, can't a free race. Like, how do you say no to a free race?
Yeah.
Those are the two biggies. But everything is all Midwest. Next weekend we're running the Mohican.
Yes.
That's an exciting one. That's one that you've been looking forward to a whole bunch, James. I know that.
Yep.
So James will be doing the 100 and I'll be doing the 50. So that's exciting.
Okay, so not to get too personal, but
No.
did you guys meet through fitness? Did fitness bring you guys together? You guys
Yes.
both seem like fitness people.
This
You're
is
talking
true.
about Spartans. You guys run ultras.
Right.
I'm like, is that how you guys meet? Or did you guys meet like, at a coffee shop? Then you're like, oh, we also happen to like this stuff? That's awesome.
Classic. I wasn't looking for anything, and I said the next gentleman who actually has the guts to talk to me and is, treats me with respect is someone that I'll consider. And James approached me at the gym.
So it was fitness.
It was fitness,
It was fitness.
and I was like, oh, cute guy wanted to talk to me, and it went through like a mutual respect of fitness. We've known each other for a couple years up to that point, and it was just a good fit. So it's more that yeah, definitely. Well, actually, what's funny about the Spartans is this one wanted to do Spartans in 2019.
Yep.
Ran the Ultra Spartan, which is a 30-mile with obstacles, and then looked at me and said, so can we just do a race where you just run and not do any obstacles?
Yeah,
How do you do
exactly.
that? What if we just did it without obstacles? And I was like, well, does that exist? It turns out it exists.
Then
That's
that's
awesome.
where the birth of the ultra running scene
Right.
came. Yep.
Oh,
Right,
that's
so then
amazing.
we transitioned to that. So yeah, fitness brought us together.
Yep.
Fitness makes the dream work. Mm-hmm.
All right, looks like we're going to roll some more footage of
Excellent.
the race course, so enjoy.
You're doing great! Fantastic.
if you like what you're watching, you can help us out a lot by buying stuff on our website at ornerymulracing.com. We got lots of cool swag. We have Ornery Mule Racing headbands. This is the limited edition Kettle Moraine 100 headband. It fits your head perfect, keeps sweat off of it. We have the Kettle Moraine flag. We have a pride flag. We have these 25-year anniversary hats. And we have lots and lots of great swag. So head over to ornerymulracing.com. Thank you.
All right, Ray, I'm gonna get on down.
All right, thank you for being here.
Okay, well. Alright, thanks for being out here.
Hey, welcome back. We have Chris. Chris, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, want to hear a little bit about who you are and why we love you.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Remhoff, and I am from Byron, Illinois, which is going to be home to the next Ornery Mule race, Nuclear Meltdown Elimination Race. So I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight,
All right.
talk a
Exciting.
little bit about that.
Yeah. So is it going to be a last runner standing, or is it a timed race?
So Nuclear Meltdown is a 4, 8, or 12-hour race. The loop is 4.16 miles, and basically all of those loops don't get eliminated except for your last loop. So let's say you signed up for the 8-hour. The first 7 loops don't get eliminated. The last loop, run your ass off. That will determine the winner, is that last loop, right?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
So the distance, if you do the 4-hour, it's going to be about 16.5 miles, 8-hour, 33 miles, and then 12 hours, 50 miles. So, there's some options there. You get a couple ultras out of it,
Yep.
Depending on your speed,
Right.
don't get eliminated. The big thing is it's all about pacing.
Yes.
Right.
So you know, if I'm a person that goes out and runs 8-minute miles, you know, then that feels easy. Well, that's kind of a problem in this race
Right.
because now
Absolutely.
you've got to slow yourself down. You've got to walk more hills than you're used to, because you don't want to finish an elimination race with, you know, 20 minutes before that next loop.
Right.
Yep.
Because then pretty soon after 6, 7, 8 hours, man, you are just getting stiff, even though it's
Yes.
going to be August and it's going to be hot. So you've got to really pace yourself, hold a little back, and then that last loop still be able to
Yes.
run like hell.
Especially since that last loop is the one that is
That's the one that
race,
counts.
The race loop.
That's the race loop.
Yeah.
The victory
Yeah.
loop.
So we're at the Byron Forest Preserve, and it's at the Jarrett Prairie, which is a beautiful preserve. We're just outside the city of Byron, and the Byron Forest Preserve gets nuclear plant money. We have a nuclear plant in Byron.
Sure.
And so our preserve is beautiful. It's in tip-top shape. We have full maintenance staff. It's a manicured trail. It's like running on carpet.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
You know, so it's really great. You're going to be in the prairie probably about 80% of the time. There's some woods, but you're going to be in the prairie the most of it. So if it's
Okay.
hot, that's another reason it's called meltdown.
Yeah.
Middle of August, it's going to be a lot of
Right.
sun.
Yep.
So you're going to want to do some self-care. You're going to want to pace yourself.
Yes.
But that's part of the excitement too,
Right.
is can you hang out for 4, 8, or 12 hours
Yes.
in that format?
Got it.
So I'd say the first mile is kind of downhill. Miles 2 is kind of flat. Mile 3 is a little uphill, and then the last mile's definitely more uphill.
Got it.
So it's a really cool race. We're going to cap it at 150 runners.
Okay.
Right now we're at about 75 or 80. So
Okay.
we still have plenty of slots for 4, 8, or 12. The elevation gain about 275 feet for that 4.16 mile loop. So
Okay.
it's not flat, but
No.
it's not ridiculous
No.
either.
Yeah. That's,
Right.
Yeah, it's decent.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to showing everybody the Byron Forest Preserve and the Nuclear Meltdown Elimination Race.
And it'll be its inaugural year.
Yes, inaugural year. It's Saturday, August 14th, 8 a.m. We were supposed to have it last year, but COVID.
Yep.
Sure.
It was supposed to be originally at the Byron Motorsports Park, which is a like a BMX motocross park, you know, where
Oh.
they race dirt bikes and there's jumps.
Yep.
And so we were going to have a bunch of single track, and we were going to use part of the race course.
Cool.
But, you know, with nothing, we tricked out the trail in 2019, but then when COVID hit, we didn't do any trail maintenance. And then so this year I told Michelle, it's just like everything got overgrown because nobody
Sure.
uses the trail, you know,
Right.
when it's not being run.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just too much to kind of get it back into firm shape. So we moved it to the Byron Forest Preserve, but there's still going to be plenty of parking, plenty of room. The other cool thing is if you sign up, at the start-finish area, there's a nice big grass open area. So bring your little pop-up tent or your little canopy or something like that. So you finish your loop.
Yep.
Maybe you've got 8 minutes where you can go in, get a little shade, get off your feet.
Yep.
Right.
You know, maybe even bring like a little kiddie pool and just kind of sit in the pool
Sure,
and
sure.
you know,
Yep.
cool
Since it'll be
down.
hot, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Have your own little start-finish aid station.
Yeah.
Or like a home base.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's an on the hour, every hour, and so that's exciting because that format is also it's like you're starting a race every hour,
Right.
and that
Yep.
can be that energy can inject some positive. It depends if you like the start of a race or not, to be honest.
Yeah.
So what do you like the most about directing races in terms of being part of that?
So it's a little daunting at first.
Sure.
You know, I've been running since 2013.
Great.
And then started kind of in the ultra world in 2018. So I haven't been around, you know, forever. But the other race is that you see me with my Tiger 10 miler gear on.
Yep.
I help out the Byron Park District run the Tiger 10 mile trail race, and we're in year 4. And so it's really cool to give back, right? Because we as
Right.
runners, we're going into these races like today at Kettle, and
Yep.
you see all the volunteers, and you see the people, you know, marking intersections, and all the things that have to happen for you to have a great day on the
Right.
trail.
Yes.
And so it's good to give back. It's good to, you know, when you run different races, kind of see those best practices that others have used.
Sure.
And kind of go, you know what? If I do this, this, and this could be epic, right?
Yeah.
Epic. That should
absolutely.
be epic.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now you've got to put it together.
Right.
So I think between Michelle and Ornery Mule Racing and what I've got going on, I'm looking forward to it. You know,
Super
so it's
exciting.
just super nice to, you know, really give back to the community. And I'm excited to be part of that.
Yeah. So with Nuclear Meltdown, are you gonna have an aid station at the start finish, a water drop in the middle or something?
Yeah, so start finish we'll have, your main aid station, right?
Okay.
And then there'll be an aid station around mile 2.5 or so where there'll be a porta potty
Okay.
and probably just like a water station because,
Yeah.
People are probably going to carry a little bit bit of
Right.
water on them.
Right.
Yeah.
But we'll have a spot to fill up there at the mile 2.5, and then your main aid station will have everything. And some people may have their own kind of cross the finish mat. I got 10 minutes. I'm going to go over to my little
Right.
spot and
Yeah.
get what I need. But yeah, we're looking for all kinds of different themes too. But yeah, again, first year we're going to try to figure this out and then go from there.
Yeah.
So that's exciting that it's its first year in
Yeah.
terms of doing that. That's inaugural races are always super fun.
Yep.
Because it's the birth of something, and you can learn from it and then make it better every year.
Yeah.
And
Especially
whatnot.
for the runner too. Like
Right.
if you're maybe a first time runner and
Right.
you want to do the 8 hour as your first ultra,
Mhm.
it kind of puts more sentimental value to your run
Right.
into the race. So you come back to it maybe again next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who
That's true.
doesn't want to set the course record, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, there's
Right.
going to be a 4, 8, and 12-hour course
It's up for
record.
grabs.
Yeah.
So there you go. Another reason to come on down.
Absolutely, it's up for grabs, folks. It's
So-
there and ready.
With ultras, this format's kind of becoming more popular.
Right.
How would you categorize it with is it like an intermediate style, pending on like this last runner's standing style race?
Yeah, so I mean, it's different than the last running standing because, you might have somebody that goes 150, 200 miles
Right.
and those type of events. You don't
Yeah.
know when it's going to end. We've obviously got a 12-hour cap
Yeah.
for our race, so it's something in between that's not quite as daunting
Okay.
as the last runner standing, which I think appeals probably to more people. Last running standing, right? I mean, you could rack up some big miles.
Right.
Here you're a little limited, per the loop. So it's kind of for that person maybe that wants to dip in, right?
Sure.
So 8 hours, you're going to get 33 miles or so, on a course that is not as intimidating, let's say, as Kettle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when
Yep.
you come up to the Kettles, you're on single track. The hills are pretty big. You have to worry about cutoffs a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The cutoff in our loop is pretty generous, an hour to go 4.16 miles.
Yep.
It's got some hills, but nothing ridiculous. The heat will probably be the biggest
hardest
thing,
part.
Yeah.
middle of August in northern Illinois, heat
Yeah.
and humidity. So we'll see what kind of games that plays.
Yeah.
It also too is like a nice opportunity if you wanted to get a 12-hour 50-miler. Like
Yeah.
that's something James always talks to me about. That's kind of a goal of mine at some point is to get a sub 12, or at least a 12-hour 50-miler. So it's a nice opportunity to push yourself
Yep.
and figure out pacing for what that might look like. If you're looking for maybe a 24-hour 100-miler, like how would
Sure.
that?
Right.
Yeah.
How would that? So it's a nice way to also pace a distance and play around with learning how to pace yourself appropriately. So like you had said, we were talking about it earlier because like Kettle, you could probably run the whole thing. Well, that might not be the best plan.
Right.
So it's how do you pace yourself so you don't have too much downtime in between loops.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
It's a mind game, right? Because
Right.
Yeah.
especially because in some races the fast guys, he's 15 miles ahead of me. Not in this format.
No.
Exactly.
We're all going back to the same place at the same time.
Yep.
And then that last loop, if somebody hasn't, if they haven't banked right, if they haven't banked their times right, they might just blow up that last loop, So it really kind of puts people, I'd say mid-packers, on more of an even playing field with some of the faster people.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Because they've got 11 loops for the 12-hour event where maybe they've kind of messed up.
That's
So
true.
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays
Yeah.
out.
I personally have had only one race experience with that kind of format. It was an 8-hour, and I thought it was a little difficult to get the pacing down, and it took me a few hours actually,
Yeah.
at least up until hour 6,
Right.
to really dial in the pacing.
Yep.
Because the first one I came back with 20 minutes to spare, second one 25 minutes to spare, and so it was like a little little difficult with the pacing.
Oh, for sure. Because
Oh,
who trains like that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't go out and run 4 miles and then I think I'll sit around for 10 minutes and then go do.
Yeah.
That's not what you do. So
Yeah.
that's why this race is intriguing,
Yeah.
because most people probably won't train a lot differently for this race, but on race day, here's the rules. Let's see how you perform.
Exactly.
Right. Excellent. Great.
We got a caller.
So we have a caller in. I believe it's Michael.
Mike McKnight.
Yep. We're very excited.
From Broken to Breaking. Hey, it's Mike McKnight. James.
Hey guys, hey James.
I'm Morgan.
Morgan.
I know if you can see Chris is with us too.
No, just see you guys. And I got my little girl with me.
Oh, looks just like you.
You say hi?
Hi.
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 There we go. Excellent.
So, Mike, I recently just watched your documentary on Broken to Breaking of your FKT on the Colorado Trail. Very inspiring, man.
Awesome, thank you. Appreciate it.
So, what do you got going for you next? What's the next big thing?
Man, I don't know.
Chris.
I'm hoping to go after an FKT in a couple of months, but nothing's confirmed just yet.
You also ran Cocodona
Can you hear me good?
250, right?
Yeah, you guys.
I think he's breaking up a little bit. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with hearing you.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I did Cocodona, but I dropped out of the hospital. Did I lose you guys?
Oh no, I'm sorry. You dropped out. That was the last thing we heard.
Yeah, I dropped out and I had to go to the hospital, so I didn't finish it.
Oh wow. Everything better now?
Kind of. I ended up having rhabdo, and so I'm just having kind of a slow recovery from that.
Yeah.
It kind of took a lot out of me.
Absolutely.
You can speak on rhabdo.
I can. Well, for people watching that don't know what that is, it has to do with, as you know, Mike, muscle breakdown with extreme exertion or extreme activity. And I mean, how many races have you ran that it never happened? You know, and then for some reason it happens during Cocodona.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the heat, and from what
Sure.
I understand, heat and dehydration.
Yes. And
Yeah,
how did you know
it was
something was
rough.
wrong? Oh, sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying it was rough.
Oh, yeah.
How did you know for yourself during the race something was wrong? What were the signs that you were feeling that was different? Because ultra running is hard in general. So how did you know something was different?
So my pee was brown, and eventually it turned to red, which I knew wasn't good.
Right.
And then I started to show signs of heat stroke, which is kind of the main reason that gave me a little bit of concern. I have a buddy who's an ultra runner who's also a physician, and he called me at one of the aid stations and asked me a bunch of questions and basically told me that if I don't drop, then I could potentially do permanent damage and I need to go to the hospital and get looked at.
Right.
So I ended up heeding his advice. I dropped it. It was just a 4 mile 150, and then went to the emergency room, and I was in there for just over 24 hours.
Wow.
Sure. Wow. Well, we're glad that you got the care you needed. That's
Yeah.
for sure. That you knew
Yeah.
you knew what you needed to do. I mean, that's you live to see another race. You know, run to see another
Yeah,
race for
yeah.
sure.
Speedy recovery
When
for
it happened,
Right.
what's that?
We hope for a speedy recovery.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I jumped into a 100-miler last weekend just to see how things went, and I was still pretty tired, and drank a lot of water, tried my best to stay on hydration, but even with how much I was drinking, my pee was still pretty dark. So I'm thinking it's a pretty slow recovery.
Sure.
Hopefully, come here.
So you just
Sorry.
jumped into a 100-miler. I'm just gonna test it out, see how it goes, right? That's so impressive.
Well, yeah, so the physician that told me to drop, it was actually a race. He gave me an invite to come and run it. But yeah, so I figured there's no better way to see how recovery is going than just to go for a race and see what happens.
Yeah. So, you live in Utah, is that right?
Yep, I'm in northern Utah, a little valley called Cache Valley.
Okay. Is that anywhere near James Lawrence, where he was doing his 101 triathlon?
On his final day, it was pretty inspiring to see.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's really neat.
Yeah, he's an animal.
No, go ahead.
James, so James was very excited for you, Mike, when you were doing your FKT on the Colorado Trail.
Yep.
And he's been very excited to talk to you. We found out we were going to be doing the live broadcast and that you'd be calling in at 9. The entire drive here, he was so excited to talk to you. He's very modest right now about it, but he's very excited.
Definitely a fan.
He talked about the documentary. Told me all about it on a lot of our runs this week. So, can you tell us a little bit about your experience doing the FKT on the Colorado Trail? What that was like? Is that your first time doing an FKT like that?
Yeah. So I was
Westerners.
Yes.
I feel like we have a bad connection.
Yeah.
No, I said we're not too familiar with too many trails out west. We're new to the ultra scene, about 2 years in, and we're still in the Midwest and looking races out right here.
So the Uintas, it's the highest mountain range in Utah.
Okay.
I was out there training to go after a shorter FKT in the Uintas. Oakley, come here. Sorry for the distraction.
Oh, no worries.
But yeah, I was out here training to do an FKT in the Uintas when Courtney DeWalter was going after her FKT attempt on the Colorado Trail.
Yep.
And so when I was training, I was following along, and when I got out of the Uintas and got service again, I saw that she had to drop and go to the hospital.
Right.
And so I gave her a call, and we were just chatting and seeing how things were going, and then she ended that call by telling me that I should go for it, that she thinks I'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
3 or 4 later, I decided to go for it and went for it. And I've learned that the less preparation I have for something, the better I do. So it kind of worked out well.
Sure. Yeah.
So what's less preparation? What does that mean?
Basically no preparation. Like for example, I had no idea that the Colorado Trail was mostly above 10,000 feet. I learned that while I was doing my attempt.
Yeah.
So I feel that if I studied that and knew that, I would have psyched myself out, whereas I just got there and I was just like, well, that's how it is, and I'm already out here, so let's just keep going for it. So I don't do a lot of studying. I just get out there and do it. And I mean, it was hard. I didn't sleep a lot. I tried to sleep, but I'm just naturally not a good sleeper. And but yeah, it was really cool to notice. Most of the people who came out to come before, and so I just thought that was really cool that so many people would come out, and some people were out there for 5 days. Like it was a big time commitment for them. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It gave me the FKT bug, or like the going after FKT bug. So I'm planning a few more in the next couple of years for sure.
So, are a lot of your focus is right now on FKTs, or do you have any races in mind that you want to get after?
So I'm in Badwater next year. I
Okay.
was supposed to do it this year, but I was worried it was going to cancel, so I deferred my entry to next year. And then I'm in, Candace Birch races, those 3 200s that she does.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've only ever done them as part of the Triple Crown.
Yep.
So this year I'm doing the Moab 200 like as a solo race, just to see how I can do, like, not a part of the other two, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, the big things I'm gearing up for right now is, an FKT this summer and the big FKT next summer. Attempt.
All right.
So you wouldn't come out to Kettle Moraine for a training run, just to grab a quick 100, an easy 100, hey. Come out to the Midwest.
If you're doing it the same time next year, it's not gonna work too well. It'll be right next to one of the big FKT I'm training for.
Okay.
Sure.
So if I can ask you a question about your no calorie 100. So
yeah,
with that, were you taking electrolytes or were you just taking water?
So I purchased it's called bulk supplements.
Yep.
Bulk supplements, magnesium, potassium, and then I bought Redmond sodium salt. I was gonna do it with the pills, but my coach said if I wanted to get technical, the capsules had like a trace amount of calories. So
Sure.
I ended up just getting the magnesium, potassium, and the sodium, and then every hour I would just take, the raw electrolytes with my water, and I did that for the whole thing.
Could you speak on like the no calorie 100, how like where your head was and kind of like how your body was reacting compared to a race where you were eating calories?
Yeah, I mean, it was as perfect as it could go.
Oh wow.
I think that I had some big motivation because I had so many. What's that?
No, it's fascinating. This is fascinating. I want to hear everything you have to say.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think I had so many people telling me that it wasn't possible and that I wasn't going to be able to do it, that I was pretty highly motivated to get it done. But the first 65 miles was pretty eventless. Everything felt good, no cramps, no energy dips. And then basically miles 65 to finish, I didn't have any issues, but I noticed I kind of had this gear that I couldn't reach if I would have been able to reach that gear if I took some calories. So it wasn't, I don't want to call it an energy crash. I just couldn't get it to the next level to be able to finish strongly. But aside from that, it was pretty uneventful. It was good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you still finished it in a very fast time. It was 18 hours and some change, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it was a little over 18 and a half hours.
Yep. That's incredibly fast.
Yeah, we're talking. I think they're predicting the finisher for Kettle Moraine is going to be in 18 hours, 18 and a half, or did they say 17 and a half?
Someone had predicted 17 and a half.
Yeah, so there's...
What's the elevation gain?
I was looking, and I think it was about 8,000.
How much?
I think it's about 8,000 for the 100 mile.
That I don't know.
Oh, okay. So the route I did here was about 6,000 to 7,000, so I guess it's pretty comparable. But I mean, it was on the road, so I heard that your course is kind of technical, if I'm not mistaken.
Not as technical, probably whatever you have in Utah. A little bit more than road, but it's a lot of. It seemed like it was a lot of grass.
Yep.
Some dirt, a little bit of sand.
Some single track.
Single track.
Okay.
rolling,
Isn't it pretty
real
rocky and
comfortable.
groovy out there?
Not so much rocky. I mean, I personally haven't ran the whole course. We ran a little bit this afternoon,
Right.
and the part we ran was pretty runnable. It was like mowed grass and some single track right around mile
Nice.
43.
Nice. I guess I'll have to come out and check it out then, if that's
Definitely.
the case.
Absolutely. I'm sure that they'd love to have you.
Be
Come out
fun.
here, do a quick 100. No big deal. I don't need aid stations.
Do you
Yeah.
do any races in the winter? Do you do any winter races?
No, that's kind of my time to chill and recover.
What is chilling
Yeah,
and recovery
I
look
have
like for you?
I'm big into like the backcountry skiing and stuff like that. So winter's my ski time, and I also have a young family. I have a wife and 2 kids, so yeah, it's kind of our time to hang out a little bit more than the rest of the year.
How old are your children? I know it looks like we have a little one.
Yeah, so my littlest, she's just a year and a half, and then my oldest is 4, and it's a fun little note that his name is Killian.
Oh, yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a star in the your documentary. You had to come see him. The last few aid stations, right?
Yeah, I think all the times that he's helped my wife through me, and just like all the races I've done, he's getting into running. Like right now, I'm recovering from my race, and so every morning I wake up, like I've been taking it easy, so I'm not running as much. But he's always been like, "Hey, let's go for a run, Daddy." And we've been going for like a little mile trail run every morning together.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
So you got any how long are you looking for your recovery? Are you seeing a physician on the regular for treatment, or you're just kind of taking it easy for now and just on your own
Just
seeing how
taking
your
it
body feels?
just taking it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just taking it easy, seeing how my body feels. I have a buddy who's running the Bighorn 100 next weekend, and I'm going to pace him for a lot of it. So I'm just kind of chilling out to make sure he doesn't drop me.
Yeah. So for being such an experienced ultra runner like yourself, do you have any advice for anyone who's running their first 100-miler today or their first 100K? Like it's about nighttime over here now,
Right.
and a lot of runners will probably start getting into a low. It's the first time they're running overnight. It's been hot today. It's been up to 90 degrees. They've been running this whole day. So is there anything any advice you can give for these guys, to maybe turn around and keep going?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I always talk about is just that, like the pain that comes from DNFing is usually higher than the continuing. Obviously, there's late additions like stupid and through that, but like most of the time it's mental. And if you just get to the next aid station and sit down and get some broth, get some electrolytes. That's one of the big things I preach. Is most of the time when someone's suffering in an ultra, it's because of lack of electrolytes. So if you just sit down and get some broth, some sodium, some magnesium, and potassium, you'll bounce back, and you'll be thankful that you just pulled the blood without giving yourself a chance to bounce back. And I'll utilize the nighttime, especially if it's hot. Like most people hate running at night. I love it because it's when I make up a lot of time, because you can go quicker, just load up on the caffeine, enjoy it, darkness. But yeah, the biggest thing I'd say is like don't give in to your instincts and drop right away. Give yourself some time to get some calories and electrolytes, and 90 to 95% of the time, okay.
That's a really good point. You have to give time for the food and the fluids to do what they need to do. It's it's not an immediate fix, but if you just give yourself some time to start feeling a little better once you get some food and electrolytes in your system, you can come right out of it.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have any things you tell yourself if you're in a low or you're at a point where it's a little bit challenging? Do you have any good one-liners that you tell yourself that gets you going, or
a mantra
any
or something?
mantras?
Yeah, can you hear me? You're breaking up a little bit.
I can hear you now. Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I did. So 3 years ago when I was in the Triple Crown of 200s for the time, here, one quick second, my daughter's running away. Okay. All right, I might have to walk and talk.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, that's fine.
We won't keep you much longer.
So yeah, when I was doing the Triple Crown in 2017, I was about to drop out at one of the aid stations, and my wife pulled out a permanent marker and wrote on my forearm just one step forward. So it was probably like a couple months after that I went and got that tattooed on my forearm. So whenever I am having a low spot, I can just look down at my forearm and keep reminding myself it's just one step forward and eventually finish.
Oh, that's great.
That's the next tattoo.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you could tell, but we're covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
And I think I might have some room for that.
Excellent idea. Genius.
Yeah.
It is that simple, though. 100%.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just one step forward, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're about
Please.
2 hours behind. I think
Come
you're
here.
2 hours behind us. You're still daylight out there.
Yeah, it's 8:20 right now.
You're 1 hour.
I don't do a good job of looking at my calendar. Me and my family came to like a demolition derby, so I'm just sitting outside in the grass right now with my daughter.
Perfect.
So
That's awesome.
Okay.
What else do you do for
Sorry
fun
if it's
besides
kind of
running?
loud.
What's hobbies?
What's that?
What do you like to do for fun besides running? It sounds like you ski. You did some skiing, right?
Yep.
In your off season. What else is fun besides demolition derbies?
We go boating and kayaking a lot. Me and my wife, country swing dance, board games. We like staying pretty busy.
Oh, that's great. So,
Yeah.
well, we don't want to keep you too much longer. So,
I'm not
You're
getting
okay.
any questions or anything from the
Yeah.
online. I thought maybe we would, but James, is there anything else you want to pick? A legend?
oh man,
You're a fan, so
I
this
am
is
a fan.
such a cool experience.
it absolutely is. I followed you all through your Triple Crown victories, and definitely inspired by your FKT on the Colorado Trail. And I watched the whole thing. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Taking trail
Thank you.
naps.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
So-
that's it's fun.
How long have you been running ultramarathons?
I started in 2013 was my first ultra, and that was just slightly after I broke my back. So basically, I've been doing it since then.
Yeah.
So not quite 10 years yet, right? 2013?
Yeah,
Just
8
under
years.
10 years. Okay. Yeah, you would say it's one of those sports that takes a lot of time to get good at.
Yeah. Yeah, even when you think you've kind of figured some stuff out, you have a race where you realize you don't.
Yeah, and I know James talked a lot about your documentary, and how many people probably told you couldn't or shouldn't be doing this kind of running and competing, and you've proven them wrong.
Yeah, it's I still live in the area like with a doctor who who did back surgery on me. So I keep, every time I have like discussions like this, I always say I need to go see him and, tell him how good of a job he did and kind of tell him the story, but then I never end up going to talk to him.
You absolutely should, because it's, people have surgeries and accidents and all kinds of mechanical issues with their bodies, and doctors and professionals say they should never run again or they should never do something again. And time again, human beings can prove that it doesn't have to be that way if you have the right professionals and have the right mindset. I think that it doesn't have to be forever. You can definitely push past an injury or something that's going on.
Hurting more when I don't run. Back to.
Yeah, if I go 24 hours without running, my body hurts more.
Yeah.
It finally tells me I can be sore.
Yeah.
This is our time to be sore.
Okay, come here.
So you were saying your favorite time of the race is running at night. Do you wear a headlamp, or you usually go with the Kogala light, the waist light?
I use the Kogala. I don't know if you've ever used that before, but once you use that, it's kind of sucky to go back to a headlamp.
Yeah. So Kogala is one of our sponsors.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
They have a waist lamp, but it's pretty versatile, right? You can wear it on your pack or on your waist.
Yeah.
Did your buddy start
and
that?
It has what's. Sorry.
Did the guy that your crew chief for the FKT, is that his thing?
No, he just works for them.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if you could hear what I was saying, but the biggest battery pack that they have has 4 USB ports, and it's a pretty powerful pack. So, like for these 200-mile races especially, you can run at night with it, use that for you can also charge like your phone, your watch.
Oh,
and it usually has enough juice to get you through the night. It's pretty awesome.
Oh.
Because that's always something for races. We're always buying portable chargers, and how do you charge your phone, and how do you charge your watch?
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to run.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to worry
Yeah.
about charging things? So
Yeah.
James is the gear guy. He's always showing me cool things, and so it sounds like this.
That's something
You talked
I'll
about
look
this.
into. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Plug in charge.
Yeah, they're awesome.
That's cool. Excellent. Well, James, do you have any other exciting questions for one of your people that you like to follow?
Well, no, I think that's about it for me. Do you have any parting words for anybody running tonight and
who's listening and
Yep.
desperate for advice?
Just sit down and eat some food, and then just one step forward to the finish.
All right.
One step forward.
One step forward. Well, thanks for joining us, Mike. You're an inspiration to everyone, and to everyone in Ornery Mule Racing. We appreciate you calling in.
Right.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Cool. Thanks.
That was fun.
That was exciting. You were
Yeah.
so excited for that.
That was fanboying.
You were fanboying. On our run this morning, I remember you talked about it, and you were so excited to be able to speak to him.
I think what's it called when like you see a celebrity, you get like
Starstruck.
For like maybe a few moments I did.
For a little bit, yeah. Like, holy smokes, like, I
Yeah.
can't believe I'm talking to this guy right now. It's
I
so
know.
cool, and you get to ask him anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, James, ask him, whatever you, go ahead, ask him.
What's funny about it too, though, is like only people who would even watch this podcast or like being the ultra scene could understand what that means.
Yes.
You know, like if you told someone,
Right.
if you know, like we're at the gym or something, we're working out, and we're like, oh yeah, we did this broadcast for this race, and we had Mike McKnight calling. They would just...
And nobody would know.
Yeah.
I mean, not many people, you'd have to be in the scene,
Yeah.
right? And know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, right. And be excited to, to speak to them or and get epic advice from someone who's got a really great resume.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I can't believe that that no calorie race, because I was always so curious about the electrolytes thing. So he didn't take capsules.
Right. So that's what it sounds like happened. Because you and I were discussing, he must have had to at least have done some kind of electrolytes. You have to have that kind of support. So for people watching that don't know anything about either James or myself, I have a degree in exercise physiology. So I, for many years, studied exercise physiology. So I knew when James would talk to me about this no calorie 100 miler, I knew there had to be at least some kind of, obviously, hydration component, and then obviously some kind of electrolyte component, because with extreme exercise like that, you need to have those things for cellular metabolism to even work, or for your heart to beat. And so we had been talking back and forth about, well, what do we think he did? And I know, James, you had watched his documentary recently and had looked it up. Yeah, we're not getting any comments, so I don't know if there's some technical difficulties going on with some of our updates, but if you're watching, feel free to go ahead and comment, ask questions. We've been able to see some of everybody's comments in terms of the weather and whatnot. Right now it's 9:30, so everybody's been going for about 15 and a half hours now.
Yep.
About 15 and a half hours in, so now it's full dark. People have fully obviously transitioned to having headlamps.
Yes.
So that's exciting. I know that as first-time commentators here on the 25th anniversary of Kettle Moraine and first-time live broadcasting.
Yes.
Some things I'd like to say. So we want to thank Ornery and Mule for investing in the community to provide us race day coverage. This is such a cool and unique opportunity to be able to not only be asked to come be part of this, but Kettle Moraine has been a race that James has talked about since the beginning of our very short career thus far. I remember when we had first discussed doing races, James, you would talk to me about a couple of local races, and local as in like within a couple hours drive, because western suburbs of Chicago doesn't have too many things, but Ornery Mule at least brings ultras to that area, which is super exciting, with Crystal Lake kind of being home base. But Kettle was one of the first races you brought up. To me, I remember thinking it was something that would be on a list of wanting to tackle.
Yep.
100%. And so we had never ran it. I had talked earlier that I had ridden my motorcycle out here and done some riding out here, so I knew the rolling hills. But other than that, I didn't hike it or run it anything 10 years ago. So it's super cool to be able to be part of this. And so for folks who aren't, let's say you have a friend or a family member running the race, or part of it in some way, you can watch some of the live broadcasts to get some updates on how people are doing, some live feeds, some instant replays of, of what's happening out in the course throughout the day. So it's really cool to be able to bring it virtually to people who can't actually be here and part of the race. So that's exciting. So we're super happy. For those of you that are watching, I know that as we get into the night hours, this is the wee hours of the evening, and we will be seeing some of the winners, the people who are going to be coming in and winning this are going to be coming in within the next few hours in terms of the times that we'll be on here. So that was also very exciting when we got offered 8 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Yep.
James right away looked at me and said, we're probably going to see some of the winners come in, like the 100-mile finishers, and like those people are going to be coming in. I was like, oh, smokes, like,
that's going to be exciting.
Cow, like, especially if we're looking at 18 hours, I mean, that's a midnight finish.
Yeah. Well, they have the, someone has predicted the winner to come in 17:30. So
That's exciting.
yep.
That's very exciting. So far we had Chris pop on when we were on. We've had Mike. So
Yep.
we are super thankful for you guys to come on and be able to talk with us and
Absolutely.
give us some insight on your experiences. We also want to thank the Ice Age Trail Alliance for all of their work and preparing for the race. Chris talked a little bit about the maintenance,
Trail maintenance, yeah, at for Nuclear Meltdown, but
Right.
the Ice Age Trail is much bigger. So
Right. And how many
Definitely.
miles is the Ice Age Trail, James?
I think, oh, for this section for Kettle, I think it's just under a 50K,
Okay.
because I think we're looking for some donations so they can extend it, buy more property, and extend
Oh, wow.
this section to become a full 50K.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Now, the Ice Age Trail itself, what was that? Isn't it
Uh,
500 miles? Isn't it something?
I think it might be double that.
1,000 miles?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
it
exciting.
starts, I think, northwest Wisconsin, and it kind of wheedles all the way down.
Right. So imagine the trail maintenance for the entire thing. It takes tremendous, collaboration in terms of different areas and locations, but for the actual area that Kettle is being run on, I mean, a pleasant race, like Chris was talking about with the Nuclear Meltdown, the trail maintenance in general, grooming it, when you're actually running it, you may not think about it. To be honest, if you're out there racing, you don't think about the work that it takes to make it a pleasant, runnable
Yep.
course.
Exactly.
Especially with the pandemic from last year, I know running outside became more popular.
Yes.
But I'm not familiar with how well the trails were maintained out here over the summer.
Yeah.
And so it's a huge benefit to make the course more pleasant. It's running ultras. It's like the littlest thing makes the difference.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like having to step over a log versus a log just being cut.
Oh yeah.
Right out of the section.
Yes.
I mean.
What race did we do? Where was that? I swear we did a race.
I'm pretty sure that was at Veteran Acres, and it was because Earth Day and Frozen Gnome run some similar paths.
Right.
So there's one section in there, I think, that it's like they just cut the log out. It's like a fallen tree.
Right.
And they just cut that section out on the single
So
track.
you can just run through it as opposed to having to lift your leg.
Yeah.
And because I know for me, when you get to a point in the race at 30, 40, 50, however many miles it is for you, I'm not very agile anymore. My agility feels like any move I make, I might break something because your legs hurt at some point so much that you're like, if I have to step over one more log, my hamstring may rip off the bone at this point.
It's like this log that's maybe, let's just
Right.
say 8 inches wide and like 7 inches tall, right?
Ugh.
So you're running up to it, and however many miles you're in, and it's like you're tired, you run up to it and you almost stop. It's like there's like a broken in like your rhythm of
Right.
running.
Right.
You stop and
Right.
like lumber over this thing.
Correct, or delicately walk over
Yeah.
it and land delicately.
Yeah.
So the trail maintenance alone is paramount. So we
Absolutely.
appreciate all of that. We also want to thank the Wisconsin DNR for working with us to put on a safe race, because safety is obviously important.
Yep.
In general, not just pandemic, but running races, there's a risk, with running. So making sure that things are safe and things you can run to see another race, as I said earlier with Mike. That's
was
important. You're still glowing from your encounter with Mike McKnight. That's so exciting.
It was. That guy was a killer.
Yeah, they gave us some notes so I can review and make sure I know what to talk about. So it's super exciting. I've noticed, and I didn't know this before, that this is the 25-year anniversary of Kettle. So James, you're so into like races and histories and distances and how long a race has gone and whatnot. So it's really cool with it being a 25-year anniversary for
Yeah.
Kettle Moraine.
Absolutely.
I know that there's been some transitions with RDs,
Yep.
and so that's exciting. It sounds like in 2018, the RDs that had been RDs for 18 years,
Wow.
they retired and they chose Michelle Hartwig to continue.
What a fun honor, you know.
So, and it's kind of cool, and I haven't had a chance to be provided that kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
How does that work? That's something that you and I have never experienced in terms of knowing how somebody becomes an RD for a race that's already been going on.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a big responsibility.
Absolutely, and Michelle already has her hands full back doing races at Veteran Acres.
Right.
Putting on a new race later this year called Soul Crusher. Dealing with the pandemic with the Park District at the VA, starting up the podcast, and then, being a little bit out of practice for a whole year last year, and this is the first major race for Ornery Mule this year. It's and so far everything's going off without a hitch. We're doing a live broadcasting.
Right.
So it's 25th anniversary. So it's been great,
Tell James, you were talking to me earlier about we were chatting on the drive up here. Soul Crusher.
I'm not super familiar with Soul Crusher. Right. I just know I've done a few runs out there at Veteran Acres with Jeff, who will probably be the course RD or the course director, where Jeff does the course directing for Earth Day and Frozen Gnome, and he showed me that loop a little bit, and it's a pretty tough loop, lots of hills.
Okay. You said isn't it 10 miles?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
That's the idea. I haven't seen it, too many details on it yet.
Sure.
Just some mild chatter about it.
Sure. Great. Sharing personal stories about Ornery Mule racing events. We talked a little bit about our history with it. So I know, James, since you're always in charge in terms of our team and how we do things, I've always put you kind of in charge of picking races you want to do.
Yeah.
I've always been super supportive of hey, you throw a race at me, tell me what you want to do, we'll take a look at it. Yeah. So how did you come across Ornery Mule as a group, and then in terms of races, I think your first one was Frozen Gnome.
It was, I found out
19, right? Or no, that wasn't.
No, it was 2020.
That was 2020. Yep. That's right.
So I found out about Ornery Mule racing from Jeff Lennard. There was I was chatting with him on the first 100-miler I've done at Farmdale, and he talked about it. He talked about Veteran Acres, and after the race I looked it up and got in contact with Jeff and ran up here, and then I found out that they hold a 50K in January, so I signed up for that, the Frozen Gnome, and that was a total brutalizer for me. So it was my first year coming into ultra running.
Right.
2019. So 2019, as for races, I ran a 50K, a 100K, and a 100-miler for 2019. And my last race was in October of 2019. And then and so what I'm trying to say is that was the beginning of my training and trying to figure out training.
Right.
And going into the 50K at Frozen Gnome, it was my first winter still training for ultras,
Right.
I started running ultras in the summertime, and so now I'm transitioning to a different season.
Correct.
And how does the training work? Are we supposed to run in the snow?
Right. So how did you? Because I've run in the snow too, but you've always been more successful with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I always take more time to get acclimated. for you, what is the biggest learning curve in terms of running in the wintertime? What was the hardest thing to get over?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. With Frozen Gnome, it was gonna be my first winter race, right? And leading up to that training, I was doing some decent miles. You know, in the morning, I'd maybe do 15 miles, and it was so cold out, I wasn't carrying any water with me.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you know, our local path is very flat, so I'd go on a 15-mile run. I didn't feel like I was sweating, so I didn't bring any water, and I wasn't taking care of that hydration that I needed, and not realizing I'm still still sweating, even though I'm not actually sweating. I'm still losing fluids.
Right.
So
through exhalation too, that's part of it. Is you lose fluid not only obviously through sweating but through exhalation. And in the wintertime, it's easy to not notice that.
And so Frozen Gnome was coming up. I had done some pretty good training. Frozen Gnome 50K is, I think it's 5 10K loops. Yep, it's 5 10K loops.
Which is different than how Earth Day was the reverse almost. Earth Day was 5.2 or 5.1 loops. So similar course, but different structure.
Yeah, different structure, and I think you hit a few more hills on Frozen Gnome.
Yes.
So I was doing Frozen Gnome, so I thought, I've been running, my runs in the morning with no water.
Right.
I figured this race, I was like, I'll carry a small handheld and I'll run 2 loops with no water, and I'll pick up my drop bag with some fluids in it. And it was a total learning curve where it was like, it's totally different running on the hills and that kind of exertion to running flat, and hydration is always key.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, and so that was your first, I think, initiation with it.
Yes.
And then it was...
regardless of my sufferfest, it was a great race.
Regardless of your sufferfest, right. You still did it pretty fast. I thought, wasn't it like 6.5 hours?
It was decent, yeah.
Something like that? The cutoff was 8.5?
Yes.
Hours?
Cutoff was 8.5, and I think I went sub 7. But...
And you had a friend that went with you?
I did.
And
I had a buddy.
And he was a DFL kind of, right? Or he was close.
He was close to DFL.
And he was close. He brought it in within minutes. Wasn't it a few minutes of the cutoff?
I think less than 90 seconds.
That's terrifying.
The anxiety at the end.
The anxiety of...
You ran a 50K and then you're just going to be cut off.
Cut off if you don't make it in by the cutoff.
Yeah.
So... I'm not sure, because I've never ran Kettle, and I know, James, you haven't ran Kettle. Speaking of cutoffs, but you tend to know a little bit more about races than I do, just in general. There are cutoff times, aren't there, for Kettle, or is that...
Yeah,
I got a feel that Chris said something like that there were also cutoffs.
Yeah, there's some cutoffs for aid stations, where the cutoff of the race, I think it's 36 hours. The race cutoff.
Okay.
We'll have to look it up, but so yeah, they'll have cutoffs for certain aid stations where it's just you're just not gonna make it. If you show up to this aid station, and you can just project that the time you won't make it to the cutoff time of the race.
Right. For people that are watching who maybe have family or friends that are in the race that don't understand what a cutoff is. Mm-hmm. It basically is a requirement you have to be at a certain distance at a certain time in order to continue, and that it indicates that maybe your pace isn't going to finish the race in the time for the overall cutoff. And so some races are like that, some aren't. Some just have a hard cutoff at the race starts at 6 a.m. Saturday and it ends at 1 p.m. Sunday, and you have your own pace and you do whatever, and there's no intermittent cutoffs. But I got the impression that Kettle has some internal cutoffs, so you have to hit a certain aid station at a certain time, which is a certain distance, in order to continue. Otherwise, they'll say, hey, you didn't make it at this particular cutoff time, so they'll pull you off the course, and that's the end of the race for you, which can be anxiety inducing, right?
Yeah.
It forces you to maintain a certain pace, which doesn't even necessarily mean moving time. A lot of race planning or race, it has to do with also transitions, aid stations. You
Yep.
know, are you going to need to change clothes, take care of your feet, trade out packs, hydration? How fast can you get in and out of aid stations? Sometimes it's easy to hang out at an aid station, especially if they're great, like a lot of the Ornery Mule ones are.
Yep.
If the aid station is a little bit, it's almost too pleasant.
They have a fire going.
They got a fire going. Everybody's always really nice. Let's talk about aid station volunteers. That's a great segue.
Yeah.
Into
absolutely.
some of my favorite people that I've encountered on races are always the
Absolutely.
volunteers, who are just invaluable, quintessential components to any ultramarathon.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
I mean, you could easily say that coming into an aid station and like how welcoming and warm they are,
right,
and depending on how you feel, can make or break. If you're walking into an aid station and you're already telling yourself, all right, this is I'm dropping at the next aid station.
this is it.
And you have these volunteers that are just like on your side the whole time, and
Right.
that could really change your whole mental game,
Right.
and put you back on the course where just 5 minutes ago you were done.
Or the last 20 miles, you're gonna be done.
Yeah, yeah.
You've been telling yourself the last 2 hours, that you're I'm over. I
Yeah.
can't anymore. And some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. They have to be the nicest people you'll ever meet because they're people who are coming on their own time.
Yep.
And spending their own time
Absolutely.
overnight during the day
To
in
help
the heat
you.
to
Yeah,
help you.
to help you achieve your goal,
Right.
Of running this race. And it's just so selfless and
Right. 9 times out of 10, perfect strangers.
yeah.
Perfect strangers. No, it's people you only meet once, and you may not meet again until the next year
Yeah.
if they
Yeah.
volunteer again.
Absolutely.
And it's that speaks a lot to the ultra running community as a whole.
Yep.
In terms of giving back, like Chris was talking earlier a couple hours ago, or an hour or two ago, about how it's about giving. It's like giving back to the community that you've been part of.
Yeah.
It's such a challenging sport on the physical level, mental level, emotional level, that the volunteers that come are completely selfless.
Yeah. Also it's like with Ornery Mule, they promote a really nice message with bringing the community together and being
Right.
kind in a world where, a lot of people can get behind social media and kind of act like a jerk sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's nice to, get volunteers or people at an aid station, and you're bringing people together and helping strangers out, just
Right. Right.
being kind and nice to each other.
Right. One of the most fun experiences I've had at an aid station was for Temptation 200 in Sandridge State Forest,
Yep.
down in Pekin, Illinois.
And Ornery Mule actually holds their aid station, has an aid station down there.
Yes, they do.
Yep.
It was, I think the first year they did it, the inaugural year for Temptation 200 was in 2019.
Yes.
Their second year was last year, 2020.
Yep.
And they actually were able to hold it in September with obviously limited people, but we got to go both years.
Yes.
Ornery Mule had the aid station, and which aid station was it? It wasn't the 666, was it? The
No,
Devil's Aid Station?
that was Devil's Aid Station. I think we were just calling it the Ornery Mule aid station.
I think that's probably what it was called.
Yeah.
I can't remember the mile marker though. Off the top of
No,
my
I
head.
couldn't either.
The Devil's Aid Station may or may not have had tequila, and I don't drink, but I think I was 6 miles from the finish for my first 100K, and they offered me, it was 11 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
and they offered me a couple shots of tequila, and needless to say, I took them up on it. I thought maybe it'd make the pain go away, and it did. Had 3 of the weirdest miles of my life in the middle of the in the dark with a headlamp, and that was super fun. But then when James, so I ran the 100K, and James ran the 200K, which is 124 miles. When James came through later and chatted up some of those aid station volunteers,
Yeah.
and they gave an update saying that your wife, she had a couple of shots. You're like, no, she didn't. Nope, not my wife. My wife doesn't drink.
Not my Morgan.
Like, no way,
Yeah.
not my Morgan.
Yeah.
Nah, not my Morgan. And then when they said that I'd smelled it before I had gone for it, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's Morgan.
Yeah, that
She
was
must
you.
have. You know, and those, I mean, I always look forward to going back to all those aid stations because you make friends and
Absolutely.
whatnot. So, do you know how many aid stations are for Kettle right now?
Oh,
We chatted about it. I thought you
yeah,
told me.
I couldn't remember at the top of my
Right.
head.
Right. But we did our run earlier, so it was
Yes.
super fun. We
Yes.
did our run. We parked at the Eagle
I want to say it was like Eagle's Nest. or
Eagle's Nest,
something.
like an area where there was horseback riding going on. So we had
Yes.
parked actually near some horseback riding trails.
It was actually there was the horse race.
There was actually a horse race going on. That's right.
'Cause we asked
That's right.
some other volunteer for the horse race, which I didn't know she was a horse race volunteer. I asked her, "Oh, is this the race?" And she said, "The human race or the horse race?" I said,
That's right.
The human race.
The human race. That's the one we're wanting.
Yeah.
So there's a horse race going on right now, or at least was going on earlier.
Yeah.
It sounded like there were some cutoffs that like maybe ended up being a 12-hour race or something like that. Because horses are horses.
It was a 50-mile race.
You know, their VO2 maxes are significantly higher than human beings. Is the most competitive ones maybe. So we had done about a mile of the horseback riding course, which is a lot. It's all sand. I mean, it was, which is great for horses, I'm certain. Not as fun to run on. But then once we were able to pop on the actual Kettle Moraine course, we just followed the markings, which again are outstanding.
Yes,
definitely exceptional, 100%. To the point where as we were trotting along, you started hearing cheering, and we're like, "Uh-oh, we're coming up on an aid station. We're gonna run into an aid station. It's gonna be awesome."
And then I thought we were gonna get the cowbell for us.
James turns and looks at me and he goes, "They're gonna give us the cowbell." And I was like, "No, I'm not running the race. I don't want that kind of attention." So then when we came in, we have our dog with us. We have a 9-month-old Belgian Tervuren. She's a Belgian Shepherd named Abra, like abracadabra, and she runs with us. So she was with us. We come into this aid station, and just so many people cheer, and they cheered us, of course.
It was a party.
It was a party. There's music playing, which is interesting because when you're out doing these races, part of the appeal is at least for me, and I know James, you're on board too. It's the quiet, the solitude, the being in nature. There's a lot of peace with that. And if you run with music, you don't run with music. It is fun if you've been quiet for many hours, or you're kind of in a low in the sufferfest a little, to come in and hear some music and and kind of get because music helps bring people up and make people feel good.
Yeah,
it was definitely a party, and that's where we ran into a lot of familiar faces.
Yep.
From the races down in Central Illinois, Ornery Mule athletes, folks that are part of the organization.
Yes.
It was super exciting to be able to run into those folks. A lot of people at that particular aid station.
Absolutely, yeah. We just came in perfect timing for it too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Must have been also a drop bag site because I saw a lot of drops.
Yes.
Places where people can get gear if they needed gear at a certain point in the race. For those then who are watching who don't know what a drop bag is, it's an opportunity for you to have your gear, like your personal stuff, taken to a specific spot that you can have access to. So if you're anticipating at a certain point in the race, you might have wet feet and you want socks. You don't want to bring them with you. You want to have them at the aid station. Shoe change, specific kind of nutrition. Nutrition is a very personal experience.
Yeah.
And so you may want specific nutrition for you. Just because there's an aid station, there doesn't necessarily mean it's got stuff that you're going to want. So that was a really cool energy to be able to pop in there. Yeah, I've been trying to get on the iPad here, trying to get our live feed to see if we're having any comments. I don't know how to get back to it. I won't lie. I'm not technologically as savvy as some people. I'd love to be able to use this device to see if we could get some updates on where folks are, because we're at
Yeah,
Right
let's
now,
see.
we're at 16 hours, so 10 p.m. Our time. Folks, you know, are getting close depending on where we're at. We can try to get some stats rolling up here.
We're in the night hours, so
Right.
this is going to be a lot of, you know, where people are getting into lows and
Right.
really having the battle, especially with the heat today.
Right.
It's just, you know.
So James is right now looking up some of the stats here, see if we can find out some real-time results to see where folks are. Again, because we were talking about, I mean, if they're saying 17 and a half hours, that's in 90 minutes. So that's exciting to possibly see. What do you got for me?
Let's see.
Yeah,
Yep.
that'd be great.
Hi everybody, Ben Light here with Kagala. Thanks for joining this 30 hours of live coverage of the Kettle Moraine 100. I know we're excited about being 2021 sponsors of all Ornery Mule racing events and including this around the world. I know we're excited to be able to see so many runners using our Ultra Trail Light and the difference it's making for these runners as they run through the night. I know that this light has been a game changer in all my overnight events. If you're looking to pick up the Kagala Ultra Trail Light, make sure you use Ornery Mule Racing for a 15% off. Kagala wishes everyone at the Kettle Moraine 100 good luck.
Hi, if you like what you're watching, you can help us out a lot by buying stuff on our website at ornerymulracing.com. We got lots of cool swag. We have Ornery Mule Racing headbands. This is the limited edition Kettle Moraine 100 headband. It fits your head perfect, keeps sweat off of it. We have the Kettle Moraine flag. We have a pride flag. We have these 25-year anniversary hats. And we have lots and lots of great swag. So head over to ornerymulracing.com. Thank you. I wanted to take a moment to talk about Ornery Mule Racing's mission and things that are extremely important to us. So our mission is kindness, community, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And we like to say very often, because we want to make sure everybody completely understands this, that all people are welcome at trail running events. The ultra running community is extremely welcoming, and we just want to emphasize that. This month is Pride Month, and at Kettle Moraine 100, we will be proudly flying our Pride flag, and we have it right here. You can purchase this on our website for only $8 at ornerymulracing.com. And our runners will also be getting a Pride bag with all of their race gear. And if you're interested in any other stuff, we have the Pride tech shirt. So thank you for tuning in. We hope you're enjoying the live coverage. Hi, I just wanted to tune in a little bit and kind of talk about what the runners are going to get and what they're going to see at the races. Right now, I'm actually in Crystal Lake, Illinois. I'm at my store, Ornery Mule Racing Trailhead, and this is the Dirt Trail Running Podcast studio. And I'm here with, like right behind me is a painting that I did. And the painting's the special logo that we had made for the 25-year anniversary of the Kettle Moraine 100. And I just loved it so much that I wanted to paint it on the wall. And so all of the runners are going to get that on their shirt. So the shirt's a really nice soft tri-blend. That's the Ornery Mule Racing brand. So this is the shirt. We have male and female specific shirts. This is something that you could run in, or it looks great going to a party, but the tri-blend is nice because it doesn't show sweat as much. It's like moisture wicking. It's just really comfortable, and it's a really nice shirt that we think that all of the runners are going to enjoy. And then the runners are also getting custom bibs. And these are bibs that I designed. I'm super proud of how they turned out. So this is the 50K bib. And everybody gets their name on their bib. This is the 100-mile bib. And then we have the 38-mile fun run bib. So this is Linda Lopez, who's actually at Tamarack Aid Station. She was going to run the 38-mile fun run, but Flatlander Aid Station or Flatlander Running Club out of Chicago decided to run an aid station, and Linda and Carlene are running the station. So they're going to run the 38-mile fun run next year. And then this is the 100K, which we have an amazing 100K course. So the runners, they're running for their swag, and they get a belt buckle. And so you're running in the kettles, and we've always gave a copper kettle for the 25 years that we've been putting on the race, but copper kettles were getting really hard to get. So we switched to a copper belt buckle, and it has the owl eyes because people are just so focused on getting the finish line. So I don't know if you can see really well. There's just like super focused eyes, like they're after getting that belt buckle. So really gorgeous, designed by Leslie Mitchell. And then Leslie Mitchell is hoping to run her first 100K, and she really wants to earn the medal that she designed. So this is for the 100K, and it's got the little wings that come up, and it's also copper with the owl on it. And then we have the 50K runners. It's a point-to-point 50K that you start at Scuppernong, and then you get this sugar skull designed owl. So yeah, just really cool. There's like little pine trees in there, sun and moon, like all the stuff that you're gonna see on the kettles. Gorgeous. And then the 38-mile fun run, that's a really great race because it starts at the 100K point. The 100-mile runners come in and they're like right by their car, and they have to go back out for their final 38 miles. It's a really great spot to get past. And with the 38-mile fun run people coming in, it gets a lot of new energy into the course. So it's really nice. It's a non-competitive race. People can start anytime after 5, and they get this, and it's a bottle opener. It's got a really pretty ribbon that goes with it. So we like the design, gorgeous swag, and we carry Ornery Mule Racing headbands. So that's something that's our own brand, and you can buy it at running stores around here. If anybody's listening with running stores anywhere, we do sell wholesale to them. And you can also buy these on our website. We have lots of different styles of headbands. They're a great pattern. They fit everybody's head really well. They keep the sweat out, and we just have gorgeous, gorgeous designer. Let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, we got the flag. So this makes a really great gift for crew. It's fun to put in like your workout room, to hang in your car. So this is the Kettle Moraine flag. Just the right size. And then we have these great hats that were made by Local Outdoor out of Colorado. We like working with family companies. And this is a picture that will just remind you of your Kettle Moraine 100 race. It's in the Nordic loop, and Scott Loddick took this picture, and then we had it designed into artwork, and it says celebrating 25 years. This one's my personal favorite. This one's white, and it's got like purple flower or purple pine trees on it, and it's got the owl, and it also says celebrating 25 years. So I think that's it, but yeah, thank you. I hope that you enjoy and keep watching our show. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Ornery Mule Racing is about kindness, community, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And it's super important to us that all people feel welcome. And this month is Pride Month, so we can wear our colors loud and proud. We have these really great tech shirts that are Ornery Mule Racing Pride with the Ornery Mule or with the Pride colors on them. Super soft tech shirt, size extra small to 2XL. And then we also will be flying flags at all of our aid station. That's only $8 on our website. And then we also have the Ornery Mule Racing headband. We have a Pride one that says love on it, and it's all in the Pride colors. So head over to ornerymuleracing.com, and thank you for listening, and keep enjoying the show.
All right.
again, we're super happy to be here. Thanks to Ornery Mule for not only live streaming and doing the live coverage, but also inviting us to come and speak. This has been super exciting and super fun.
Yep, so we got some comments in here, and to answer some questions that I had earlier, the cutoffs are...
So this is the cutoffs for the Kettle Moraine
100 is 30 hours, and I think the 100K
was 18 hours, I
yeah,
thought.
Yep. That's right. And also, since... Let me see. Yeah, Kettle 100 mile is 30 hours, and 100K is 18. And since 9:37, it's 10:12 now. Mike Ellsbury was in first place for the 100 mile, and he just hit Duffin for a second time at 90.6 miles in. So we
and that was at 9:30?
Yeah.
So that was about 45 minutes ago?
Yeah. So we can anticipate seeing a winner here sometime soon.
Oh, I'd say the next hour and a half at least.
Yeah,
Probably before midnight, for sure.
And Rachel, I don't want to mess up this name, but Raguna, second time through Duffin, 90.6. And she is second overall, and that was around 9:57. So
all right,
it's a tight race. It's very close. It's still up in the air. I mean, 9:37, 9:57. That's 20 minutes.
Right. That's now that we're
still,
in the magic hour in terms
Yep.
of people coming in.
It's a real race now.
Now it's turning into a race.
Oh yeah.
So, James, are these individuals that are you familiar with their names at all? You are definitely more into the community in terms of knowing some folks. So are these two people names that you recognize, people that we've ran with before, been at races with?
I'm not 100% certain with these names.
Okay.
But, I'm sure if I dug into some entrance lists on Ultra Sign Up.
Well, you do sometimes.
Like
connecting,
yep. Connecting the entrance, like Kevin Bacon's 6 degrees of separation. I'm sure I could connect myself to someone in these.
Got it.
In this race.
Is our Sugar Badger still somewhere? Is she?
I think she's the one in second place overall.
Okay, got it.
I think,
cool.
But I don't want to
jump to conclusions or anything.
Got
it. Perfect. Super exciting. I mean, it's so interesting coming into races. My headspace traditionally is just to finish the dang thing.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be able to cross the finish line and maybe get lucky and do it faster than I anticipated. James, you've had a really cool experience, kind of similar to a close first and second place. Maybe, and for you at Temptation 200 last year in 2020, it was unexpected. We didn't walk into that race thinking that you were going to come in and race it. You were just looking to get the 200K.
Exactly. I was just looking to get in, I put a lot of time in. It was going to be the first race not post-pandemic, but first race that they were starting to open up through the pandemic.
And maybe the only race of 2020 for us. So it was a big deal. To be able to get to actually be in the race environment.
Yeah.
And so for the viewers who don't know or understand, James won Temptation 200 in 2020. He ran a 200K, which is about 124 miles. And that was the year that not only did you win it, but you also set the course record. Originally, he's chuckling now. Jeff Lennard's probably running right now. Would you imagine? Do you think he's running right now with Eric?
Oh, yeah, he should be.
At this point, or close to it.
Close to, sure, sure.
We had talked about Ornery Mule racing legend Jeff Lennard.
Yep.
Running James and a little bit into the dirt at Farmdale in 2019.
Yep.
So in 2019 Temptation, Jeff set the course record for their inaugural race. So the first time they ever held that race, he ran the 200K and set the course record. A month later, ran James into the ground on James's first 100 miler, and then a year later, Jeff didn't run the 2020 Temptation 200, and James was able to follow in his gracious footsteps
Yes.
and not only win it, but also set a little new course record. I think by 30 minutes. It was something like that. It wasn't out of the water, but it was cool. And James, I know you started running that race without the intention of winning it, and it became a race because there was you and the gal, the first place gal.
Yeah, a gal from Michigan.
Right, who was on, I know they interviewed Ornery
She
Mule.
was on The Dirt, I think, on the Dirt podcast.
She absolutely was.
Yeah.
I know Michelle spoke with her on the podcast.
Yes.
I would say probably a month or so after. I felt like it was...
Yeah, some short amount of time, but it was,
late September of 2020.
Yep. It was a good podcast. I listened to
right?
it. Yes.
And it turned into a race.
It did. It did. You know, the thing with that is it's like, I think it comes with experience, and then also how you want to view your own personal race experience, you know?
Right.
So it comes with your training experience and what you're looking to get out of running ultras.
Right.
And if you want to be competitive, you know?
Right.
Because you don't have to be competitive to get the same endorphins and feeling of accomplishment.
Correct.
Doing these ultra races, you know,
Right.
it's a crazy distance. I don't think anyone ever needs to be competitive in it to feel good to what they've just accomplished. So it's a little bit, you know, me personally, the way I approached that race was that I knew I had the training, I knew I put the time in, and it was all just personal goals that I had.
Right.
And I just did my thing, and I didn't really let racing get to my head too much. I didn't worry about anyone else, and I just did my thing, and, you know, just turned out that I was able to do my thing, and doing my thing was enough to get a first place finish that year.
Right.
So.
And what's funny, you were talking just now about just kind of doing your thing, and I recently read, I know, it sounds like they spoke to Dean earlier today, Dean Carnesi. He recently published a book, Runner's High, and I recently finished it, so now I'm rereading it because it was such a fun read. And in Runner's High, one of the things he talks about is when you're in a race, how you're running your own race, you're doing it for your own reasons, you're getting the satisfaction, the emotional growth, the physical growth, all of that, and then you still don't want to get passed by somebody.
Yeah.
It's funny how you can be in your own head and be super focused on you, and then if you find somebody who's tailing you pretty hard, who ends up passing you, the competitiveness then comes out. You know, there is a competitive nature to it, and I think that running your own race is absolutely the way it should start. And I mean, James, you've got some competitiveness in you, and I think it was really cool to see you do that race back in 2020.
Yeah.
And gave you a little extra edge to be able to try to push and come out on top the way you did.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to ultra races in particular. You traditionally just don't know how they're going to turn out.
No, you
that's
really don't.
Why they're hard. That's the point. So we sign up for these 100-mile races, these 100Ks, which are 62 miles for those of us that don't know that. You know you want to finish in your mind. You train, and you know, I always walk into a race knowing I'm going to finish. But the reality is that too many things happen. There are too many factors inside a race that can change the outcome.
Yeah.
If they were easy, everybody would be doing them. You know, and part of the appeal is the not only the sheer volume of miles you do in one go, and the challenge that comes with that, but it's all the other factors. The trail, the weather, Mother Nature.
Yes.
Dean talks in his book a lot about it's you and nature. You're outside for so long in those elements that, like a marathon, for instance, like a road marathon, let's say, you got the fastest folks. They're doing it just over 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's, you're not out in the elements for very long. That's 2 hours and 15 minutes if you're super fast.
Yeah.
What would be a slowish marathon time, but like not terrible?
You know,
like 4 hours.
Yeah, I think 4 hours would be. You know, you're running,
Right.
Yeah, you're running the whole time.
Right. So it's still work, but it's 4 hours of work, but you're not outside for, where are we at? It's 14 hours, 16
Exactly,
hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, 30 hours at the cutoff, 30 hours. There are people that are going to come in at Kettle Moraine here right at the cutoff. They're out for 30 hours, no sleep.
Yep.
Exercising in the elements, dealing with the heat, dealing with night. So there's a lot of nature that comes into racing these races.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's not just one thing you have to worry about. There's a lot of different components.
Yeah, and how do you compare the victory? So let's say our winner comes in at 18 hours, right?
Right.
And you get your last ass on the trail coming in at 31:59.
Right.
It's like,
Technically 29 because it's a 30
Oh,
hour
sorry,
cutoff.
I'm sorry.
So it'd be 29:59.
Yeah, 29:59.
By
And so
the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, so it's like, you can't take anything away from that guy or gal who endured 29 hours worth of that work,
Right. It's still the same distance.
It's the same distance. You cover the same distance. You took all the same steps.
Right.
So, it's like you can't take anything away from anyone when they finish.
Right. I know.
Everyone's.
I can't remember if it was the Dirt podcast. I know Courtney DeWalter talked a lot about. I've listened to a few of the ones that she's done the last couple of years, and she talked a lot about how you've got super fast runners that do these races, and they finish it in 18 hours.
Yep.
And they ran 100 miles in 18 hours, and it's astounding that they can run that fast. And you got folks that are coming in doing it in 30 hours, right? They're doing it inside the cutoff. And she's just blown away by the people that are still out there doing the work. So I think she ran the Moab 240, and she did it in her time. There were people that were out there for days after her, days. And she was just so impressed and so, in awe of the people that are just still out there grinding away, doing the work. And in theory, her job was easier. She got the race done faster. She's not out there, suffering for longer. And the folks are out there for longer going through it, slogging through. And so it's just super interesting to see that. And it's everybody's journey is very different. We got any good comments? 78, third female.
That's right. We got from Joe Gao saying, that's right, it's an individual sport. Yeah, absolutely. It's a individual sport, but you can't count out the your crew, everyone who supported you for the race, the aid station volunteers. It's not an unsupported race. So
that's true.
Yeah, like mentally pushing forward, taking the steps and covering this distance. Yeah, it's individual, but it doesn't go without all the help from the aid stations and.
That's true.
And even even the trail maintenance that has to happen, and there wouldn't be a race without them. So
that's true. It's cool, and Joe, with you saying it's an individual sport, I also think that's what makes it so unique, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's moving. It's up to you to finish the race. So James, you have a phenomenal point that it's such a community with all the things that have to go into, all the people that have to be involved, and all the different elements that have to go into making a successful race for everyone. But also, if you are somebody that can be fortunate enough to have a crew, to have pacers, to be able to do those things. But at the end of the day, you're the one making those steps. You're the one that has to find it inside yourself to dig deep, to keep moving, to get through these evening hours.
Yeah.
If you're real fast, you can get it done before it gets dark. Dean talks about that in his book, and Runner's High. He talks about, I forget which race it was. I think it was Western States when he ended up running it, and he's never really done it at night because he'd be done before it got dark. I believe that was the way it is, and it's like if he had to start experiencing what it'd be like to be going through it at night, and getting through these witching hours, as they say. So super exciting. Cool. So we've got Ken. He just got back from the 50K finish. Wild ride, great support out there. Awesome, great race.
Yeah.
So
Well, thanks for coming out for the race.
Absolutely, and that's great feedback. You know, it's nice to know that there was great support. I think that's a huge attractor factor for when somebody registers for a race. You know, James, you and I talk a lot about when you present a race to me that I've never heard of before. One of my biggest questions is, all right, talk to me. Like, how is it put together? What's the course like?
Yeah.
You know, what's the structure? What kind of support? I think a lot of the structure of the race, if it's a loop, if it's a point-to-point, you know, on the hour, every hour, will speak volumes to what kind of support is out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So congratulations, Ken, doing the 50K. That's awesome. That's super exciting. Glad that you had a lot of fun. That's great.
You know, going back to it being an individual sport with, you know, I'm not saying it's not, but also, you know, how many people have a story about while they were in a race, they ran into some other person also running the race, and they ended up sticking together for a while, and that helped them through the race. You know, I mean,
strangers too.
Yeah,
a lot of times it's people that you've never met.
Yeah.
And you run into each other on the course because that's just how it works.
Yeah.
And you make friends, and sometimes so I know, James, like, I've had experiences where sometimes you'll connect with somebody on the course, hang out for a few miles, and then somebody feels good and they take off or walk or whatever. It's a brief encounter, right?
Yeah.
But James, I know you've had a lot of experiences with making friends and then staying friends. And
Sure.
Is that how it worked out with Jeff at Farmdale? It's like you kind of accidentally
Yeah, I mean,
hooked up on the pace, or how did that work?
you know, it was I was really had it in my mind that I wanted to get after a 100-mile finish.
Right.
And so I went out there at the time with my very little experience, which everyone's still constantly learning. I'm still learning.
Right.
But with my little experience, I thought, I'm just going to hang up here at this pace, and just so happened Jeff was running that same pace. And, I didn't know too much about how I should have paced myself, because still my farthest distance I had ran was 100K.
Right.
So I was planning on running 100K, then seeing what happened afterwards, and so that's how I met Jeff, and he's pretty chatty on the course, so that's pretty fun, except I caught him on some good miles. So,
yes.
So he was able to talk to me for a while. But we have a guest that might be calling in.
Yeah, it looks like Connor Holt will be calling in at 11 p.m. Central Standard, so our time here as a special guest, because they're all very special. So super exciting. That'll be fun to chat him up a little bit.
Yeah, so with meeting Jeff there, I connected with Jeff and reached out to him, and he's given me some advice, and I've done a few runs with him up in Crystal Lake, and he showed me around there.
Right. I think that speaks to the community.
Yeah, especially the Ornery Mule community, since that's his. He makes the course for a few races.
He's the. Which one was it Earth Day?
Earth Day and Frozen Gnome.
And Frozen Gnome, he's like the one that actually is the course director, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, he's not the race director. He's the one that puts the course together and is the course director.
Yes.
So it's so fascinating. We were talking with Chris earlier about all the elements that go into putting together a race.
Yeah, it's such a selfless job,
Right.
Especially because you're putting on a race for this huge community to run, like hundreds of people.
Right.
So they can come and, accomplish their goals.
Right.
So you're just putting on an event to help people, accomplish a goal, reach a dream,
Right. The backstory too, and again, for those of you that are watching that maybe don't know entirely how it works, the first thing you have to do is get permits. A lot of these races, a lot of good races, are in forest preserves, and a lot of times you have to get certain permits to be able to run these things, especially overnight. where we're from, you know, a lot of forest reserves are closed overnight. So in the DuPage County area down in the western suburbs of Chicago, they're closed overnight. So you have to be able to get permits if you wanted to run a race in certain areas. And the pandemic, I mean, you couldn't get permits because of you know, having too many people at a race or whatnot, or different limits to capacities. So first step is to get permits and be able to run a race in a certain area. And on top of that, then there's other layers in terms of how you put on a race. Any good comments?
No, but we got the link for the Run Race Net. It's
Excellent.
a little bit delayed, which I was just looking at it, but
Okay.
yeah, so far we're in good shape with that.
So we can see some
Yeah, so we can see
times
so
here. Let's chat about it. Let's chat.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Mike
All
Ellsbury from Wisconsin. So far, what we have here, we heard in the comments that he's already past Bluff Road.
Right, so it sounds like he's already passed Bluff Road, which is at mile 93.1.
Yep.
For those of us that aren't familiar with the course. And then we talked about Rachel, and she was at mile... Was she coming up on Bluff? I thought she was at mile 90.
If you look at this, from what we have so far, I know it's delayed, but
Right.
at Highway 12, they were only 3 minutes apart from their check-in.
Wow. Yeah, that is 3 minutes apart.
So it's still a very tight race.
Correct. And so at Highway 12 inbound on Run Race Net, which is a way that you guys can also connect, if you want, it's runrace.net. And you can look up the Kettle Moraine webcast here.
Yeah.
Highway 12 inbound is at 86.5 miles.
Yeah, if you're watching the podcast, it's in the comments stream.
Got it. Yep, you can take a peek down there. Okay, so Soul Crusher, it sounds like, so Jeff is going to be the guy who's laid out the course for Soul Crusher, because of course Jeff has laid out a course called Soul Crusher.
Yeah.
James knows personally.
Yeah, I ran it with Jeff once or twice, a few training runs out there.
Oh, so that was part of the course.
Yeah, he showed it to me a little bit.
And that was when you ran. Did you run with a group of guys? Was it just Jeff, or was it a group?
I ran with Jeff Leonard, the other Jeff Goodmanson,
Who's running now?
who's running right now.
And Goodmanson's doing the 100-miler as well, right?
Yes, and
Cool.
Eric Bloomquist, who, like I said earlier when I saw him, he looked great.
He looked great.
He looked
Hopefully, we
very
haven't seen him,
strong.
but he looked strong.
Yep.
I got to meet Jeff Goodmanson
Yes.
at Potawatomi, which is in Peoria, right? Technically.
Yeah.
That was in April, the first big weekend in April. Potawatomi is a pretty popular, notorious trail race out in central Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big deal for us. Actually, I'm sporting part of the swag because you do these races for the swag. You know, I mean, hey, I'm not going to run 100 miles if I don't get a cool hat, you know. And I got to meet Jeff Goodmanson, who is somebody that you run with, and Jeff Leonard as well. And Jeff Goodmanson was super nice to me. We kept leapfrogging each other. He was running the 100-miler. I was running the 50-miler. And then, so you make friends, like we were talked about. And then I got to see Goodmanson was doing, he was working at an aid station at Earth Day.
Yep.
And he was super pumped to see me. He was pumped to see James. So it was one of my first experiences, like familiar faces and getting cheered on. And it always injects a lot of positive attitude and a lot of really fun.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
that's like we were talking earlier. That's a lot of the volunteers. You
Right.
know, I mean, Jeff volunteered. Him and his wife, they volunteered to run that. What is it called? Where they just direct traffic, you know?
Oh yeah. They were directing traffic.
Like a course marshal.
Yeah. I know, James, you've romanced the idea of doing like a sweep sometimes. Weren't you asked to do a course sweep where it was, or you were kicking around for one of the races?
Oh, yeah,
I forget which one it was. You had chatted me up a little bit about it.
I had seen a Facebook post about a last-minute course sweeper for Sugar Badger.
Sugar Badger, that's what it
Yeah,
was.
that's what it was.
We were romancing doing that as well.
Yeah, but I think I ended up going to Peoria to check out the Crimea River course.
Right, because Crimea River is happening down in July.
Yep.
Down in the same area, right, in Peoria.
Mm-hmm.
And so, James, you did a drive out there and you did a course scope to check that out. So just kind of get a feel. That's a tough one, too.
Yep.
Let's see. What's the entry process for runners? Does Kettle have a lottery? I don't believe so.
I don't think Kettle has a lottery. I think it goes pretty fast. It's a very popular race.
So that's that's true. Is I think once you find out when registration opens, you have to keep an eye peeled, because I know you and I have talked, James, about how it fills quick.
Yes, Kettle fills very quick because I think it's part of the Midwest Grand Slam.
What's the Midwest Grand Slam? Can you elaborate a little?
The Midwest Grand Slam is just a group of 100-mile races that you do where you, at the very end, once you complete all the 100-mile races, you combine the times.
So a lottery would be where it's like a Western States where you get a number of entries and they just pull. No, I think Kettle still is just you sign up for it, and if you get it's like buying tickets to a concert,
Yeah,
you gotta stock one time.
It's like a those Black Friday sales.
Yeah.
Where as soon as they come on sale, you have to click
on your phone, ready to go with
that
your stuff.
And the Hennepin fills up very fast too. It's a very popular race, and also a Western States qualifier.
That's true.
It has been, at least.
And Hennepin's the one that you told me that I should do in terms of.
It's a good race. I mean,
to do my first 100, I haven't done 100 yet. So.
Absolutely. So we have David Failing.
Oh.
Chiming in, 4 weeks away from Seymour.
There we go.
Looking forward to seeing Jeff Leonard and James out there.
David, thanks for writing in.
Yeah.
You should run with James and Jeff, and if you're faster than them, run them into the ground.
No, I'm sure he will. I met him at.
David.
Yeah.
Cool.
I met him once, very briefly, at a fat ass at James Pate Park. It's up in.
That's not the one that we went to.
No, that's the one where it was like winter. It was like a winter one. And
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
He was there briefly, and I spoke to him briefly, and he was telling me about how he was. I think he moved. I think he now lives in Arizona, but.
Jealous.
Yeah. Totally.
David, if you live in Arizona, I want to hear all about that. You should comment, call in, something. James and I we're born and bred western suburbs of Chicago, but we're really looking at, somewhere else, relocating. Utah, Colorado, Arizona.
Okay.
Good.
He's going to come here and run us into the ground.
That
Perfect.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because I have a spatula, I can scoop James with a spatula off the ground, put him in a container, take him home. It's not a problem. I can handle it. Racine's birthday run last January. Oh, because it was that's what it was. You were what you remember?
Yeah.
It was a birthday run. That's fun.
Nice.
Yeah, that's Flagstaff. So Flagstaff is something that James, you talked about.
Yeah.
Wanting to run out there.
How's the winters though?
David, comment here. Want to know how the winters are in Flagstaff, because I'm over the winters in Chicago. That is for sure.
That's
so.
I.
Awesome. The Big Pine 54K. Oh, Lyle. Excellent. So, David, you hail from Lyle. That's cool. I went to Benedictine University. That's where I got my master's in physiology. So, I was a big Benedictine person. I lived in Lyle for a while. Western suburbs winters. So, it's got to be, as they say, more better than where you're at. You've got to be way more better. It's not that. So that's interesting. So you still get snow down there. See, I've never been to Arizona. In my mind, I would just be sunburned all the time.
Yeah, I thought you just melt in
Yeah, you just
Arizona,
melt.
yeah.
And there's no snow. It's not, it's just, it evaporates. But it sounds like it comes down real hard, but then it melts quickly. So that's cool.
Yeah.
As opposed to it just sticking all the time.
Yeah.
And then having to run with ice cleats, which is what we did this past winter.
Yep.
You let me use your
micro spikes.
Your micro spikes.
So it's like, I wonder how some ultra runners, how they take their training, how they handle it in the winter, and like there's, especially in our area.
Right.
I thought it was really cool that Ornery Mule put on that Run Your Ass Off challenge because, it helped people, because we were in a pandemic all year, and then it helped people stay motivated through the winter. Because if you were locked down all year, couldn't really do much, couldn't really be that active, and then coming into the winter, it's really setting you up for kind of failure if you haven't been active. So it was really cool to do those virtual races, those mileage races, I suppose.
Yeah, elaborate a bit. So the Run Your Ass Off, Freeze Your Ass Off.
Yeah, Freeze Your Ass Off.
Excuse me. Wasn't it supposed to be 500 miles in a period of time?
Yeah, I think it was from January to March, you had a time frame to run.
Right, and wasn't your goal to get it done in 5 weeks or something like that? It was something you wanted to get 500 miles in
as
no
fast
time
as
at all.
I could. Yeah, I think I ended up doing January doing 350 miles and then finishing the rest of it first 2 weeks of February.
Right, I remember
that. But I'm glad I did it because it really pushed me to run outside. Because to be honest, I probably wouldn't have ran as much.
Yeah, you were determined to get every mile outside. For you,
absolutely.
It was about freezing your ass off.
Yeah, so I did. I did some treadmill runs, but I never counted them because I wasn't freezing my ass off.
No, you were indoors.
Yeah,
I know you were super stubborn about it.
I wanted to.
Hun, I get
personally.
It. Right. So David commented too. We were talking about elevation. I know that he's saying Flagstaff is at 7,000 plus.
Oh wow.
So I know you and I have talked about also wanting to live somewhere that has some elevation, has some altitude.
Absolutely.
So Flagstaff, you're kind of selling me on it, David. And we are much closer to the sun. Is it because the elevation? Because at altitude you're closer to the sun.
Yeah. It's the elevation.
Well, hey, if I step outside when it's sunny, instant sunburn. So I suggest wear a winter parka, run, and all the stuff. So it sounds like also we've got Ryan Koresko, what just got through Duffin at 73.8 miles in the 100 miler. So it's just got about 25, 27 miles-ish, 26-ish to go. He's got a marathon to go, 26.2, I think, actually.
Yeah.
So that's super exciting. So we're coming in. Again, it's 10:45 here. So let's see if we've got our run race has been updated or anything. Great.
All right, we have.
So again, this is a delay. Our run race is a little bit of a delay, but we'll talk a little bit about where everybody is right now.
So first place inbound we have at Bluff Road inbound to Mike Ellsbury. And
that's 93.1 miles.
Yep, and he crossed there at 10:07. So yeah, it's a bit of a delay, yeah.
Half an hour.
Yep.
Just about. A little more. Okay.
So he has about 7 miles left, and so we should be hearing from a winner soon.
Absolutely. 100%. I would say. So I wonder if, let's see.
And he checked in there at, what is that, 16 hours?
Yeah.
16:07.
I mean, if you think 16 hours, he's got 7-ish miles to go, right? Yeah, just about. So, I mean, that's going to be sub 18, don't you think?
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. Because...
And you can walk the rest of that.
I mean, you can crawl the rest of that.
He'll probably go sub 18.
Right. Right. So that's... So his shoes are just on fire right now.
Especially with the heat that they had
Yeah,
today.
right.
It can't not be melted by now.
Absolutely. Let's see. Where are we at? That's exciting. Super exciting.
We could go to some interviews.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Oh, these are
Hey, I'm Ryan Cooper. I was called upon to help pace Rachel, the lead girl. She came into the Nordic by herself and was talking she could really use a pacer, so I decided to hop in and help out. And she dusted me, so I'm hanging out at Highway 12 by myself while she's out doing the out and back, and I'll try to make it back with her. I wasn't really prepared to run, so my shirt is hanging up over there drying off while I'm wearing one of the aid station girls' shirt. Like it?
There, my name is Elizabeth Lara. We're at Highway 12 aid station, which is the Ornery Mule Racing Trail Team aid station. We are at mile 77. We just had our first runner, who is female, come through about 20 minutes ago. Rachel, she's on her way out to Rice Lake. She's got about 8 miles out and back before she's here, if that makes sense. And I'm pretty stoked about the fact that we've got a female in the lead, a female overall.
Hey there, my name is Erin, and we are at Highway 12 aid station, roughly, I forgot the mileage, 77.9 or something, but I am looking forward to playing music for the runners coming in. This is my first time here experiencing this race. It's been on my bucket list for years, and I'm ready to see how the night goes.
The Ornery Mule Trail Team. Helping out tonight. I've spent most of the day on the live broadcast, and now I'm going to spend the rest of the night out here helping the runners get finished with their races. I just took a fall on the trail. I've never done that while running, but so I've finished a 50K, but I've never actually got to see people finish a 100-miler, so it's pretty cool to be watching people get real emotional because we're here at mile 77. And so it's pretty cool. I love being a part of this community. It's the best people ever, so I love it.
Double bicep flex, the both of us.
Do it now. We're on.
Save it for later.
Save it for later. I already gave it away.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. We're super happy to be here. It's super exciting to be commenting during the exciting hour of having our first place folks.
Yep.
Coming in. So this is super exciting. Anything super fun?
Let's check the...
Thanks for commenting. The folks that are watching, I know it's late. It's getting past everybody's bedtime.
Yeah, but just stick around for a little bit longer so you can see the winner, you know.
This is exciting. We're definitely keeping an eye on the comments for YouTube. Super fun to chat with David earlier and kind of chuckle about moving Flagstaff. That's definitely on the radar for us in terms of maybe relocating at some point.
They just said they anticipate the first finisher within half an hour.
All right.
Excellent.
So
Great.
we're getting that. We are anticipating the first place winner to come in within a half hour.
Right.
Cool.
So we're looking at 30 minutes finish. So that's exciting. We have a call at 11 o'clock, potentially. So that's exciting too, having somebody else call in to chat up a special guest. So we love special guests.
Tyler Owens.
Tyler, congrats. You're already at the hotel. Showered, which is amazing after an ultra.
Especially after a hot day like today.
Right. Congratulations on your 100K finish, Tyler. Super exciting. What a great course. What a challenging bit of heat today. Super glad. That's one of the. I got goosebumps just thinking about checking into a hotel and getting a shower.
Yeah. I mean, if any of these finishers want to call in, we'll be glad to talk to you about how your race went.
Absolutely.
Like your experiences with the heat today.
Definitely.
Let's talk about the course. Is there any spots that are covered? Which part of the course was the hardest? Did you think?
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
if you
yeah.
finished, for sure, give a call.
Yeah.
To kind of get a feel for the course, but we certainly didn't put in the 62 miles or the 31 miles that you guys did thus far.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear and chat you guys up about
Get some feedback.
Your experience. Right, absolutely. So it looks like Tyler Owens finished 4th on his 100K, so congratulations.
Nice job.
That's super exciting for you. That's great. I wonder if we can, while we're hanging out, can we look up his information to see, and we can kind of see some of the 100K finishes? Because while we're looking at the 100-miler and getting excited, folks that have crushed this course and already showered and in bed, maybe even, who knows if... Or they're, if you're listening, if you're still awake and still amped up from your race, again, give a call. Come on in. Give us a pop. Let's see if we can figure out the technology here. This is super cool. Super fun.
Yeah, I think it's maybe view spreadsheet.
Cool. Yeah, you can always
There
go
we
to
go.
RunRaceNet to check out the results. It's a little bit of a delay, maybe a half an hour delay, but it's still pretty good real time. If you've got a loved one or family or friend that's running the race, you can always take a peek at it. So let's see, we've got Tyler Owens here. Yep, nice job. Congratulations on your finish. So it looks like you finished in
13:55.
13:55. Congratulations. Nice job. So is this our first place?
Yep.
So Jill, she finished the 100K in 12:25. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's super exciting.
It's a pretty close race too, between overall first and overall second.
That is. It's about a 7-minute difference. That was
Wow.
super exciting. So we've got some 100K finishers here. Very exciting. Perfect. That's great. Super pumped. Cool.
So, do you have any fun stories about your Ornery Mule races that you've done?
I know, yeah, James, it's so funny. We talk a lot about your stuff because you have done a bunch of races. The first Ornery Mule race I did, I think, was the virtual Frozen Gnome this year.
Oh, that's right.
Or, well, was it this year?
It was this year.
It was this year.
Yeah.
In January, they did Ornery Mule, still held Frozen Gnome. They did the virtual version. And we chatted a little bit, for those of us that weren't around about 3-4 hours ago. I have a little bit harder time with winter running, with, things going numb and being cold. And so for me, I signed up for the 10K, right? We did the 10K.
We did do the 10K, yeah.
Did do the 10K. You signed up to volunteer.
I did.
Which has been awesome. I know you've been dying to volunteer.
Absolutely.
But I signed up to do the 10K, so it was fun to do a little virtual 10K. And it happened to be one of my faster 10Ks. And so that was super exciting to see my name somewhere, I think, higher on the list than it would have normally been had it been actually on the course. But I know folks did actually show up. I think they actually had part of the race. They actually had the course open, wasn't it? If you did want to go on a certain day and actually run it on the course in the elements on the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, realistically, my first Ornery Mule race was Earth Day this year.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Yeah. Really great. Race director Magdalena, who we saw out there today.
Oh, that's right. We
Magdalena's
did see
out
Magdalena,
there.
yeah.
We were running back and we saw Magdalena.
Yes.
Got to say hi to her.
Yep.
She looked good, so that was super exciting. She hosted a really great race. That was a really fun Clinton Lake. And then 2 weeks later, we did Potawatomi. And then so after a 30-miler, a 50-miler for me, James was like, hey, so, Earth Day's still open if you want to do it. Sure. And so 2 weeks later after that, we did the Earth Day 50K.
It was only 1 week separation.
It wasn't one. That's right. Potawatomi was the weekend before, and then Earth Day was a week later.
Yeah.
And so part of our training has always been just running heavy miles back to back. And so that was, I would say, Earth Day was my first Ornery Mule race, and it was cool because a lot of familiar faces. Got to see the guys timing it. Are Greg and Dexter are good friends who we've made with. They race direct Temptation 200.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle was super cool. She came right up when I finished and chatted me up.
Oh yeah.
Which is super fun when you have like the race director come up and congratulate you and make you feel. And she made me feel really welcome and part of the community because James you've always been able to network a little bit more than me in terms of social networking and whatnot. So it was kind of cool to get invited to do this.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling more ingratiated in the culture and the community. So it's been cool. I suppose I would have done Frozen Gnome with you last year if I wasn't such a chicken with the wanting to do to me is like doing a 50K in the cold was like, oh God.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a super fun race to at least do once. I mean,
oh yeah.
It's like the winner is its own challenge.
Correct, right.
Even
you can
if,
always count on it in the
even if Frozen Gnome was in a flat course, it would still
right.
be hard.
Running on the prairie path in the western suburbs is hard enough on ice. Got any good comments?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get a fun phone call soon from Connor Holt, which is Camille Herron's husband. Nice.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You can ask about how he crews her and how her training's going about Western States. I think she's doing Western States this year.
Right. So that's cool, and we'll have to make sure we chat with him about that because for you and I, being like a married team, a lot of ultra running. I mean, it's hard to be an ultra runner and not be supported by family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes. While it's a very individualized sport, it also requires that kind of relationship and the understanding. And it's always a better situation when your significant other is super supportive. So whether you run together or you crew for each other, whatnot, it depends. So that'd be cool to chat him up about that how that relationship works, and whatnot. Cool, excellent. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We're good for the call. Hey, Connor.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you doing? I'm James. It's my wife Morgan.
Hey, how are y'all doing, James?
And right now we're just broadcasting about the Kettle Moraine 100.
Yeah, Loretta sent a text to Camille, and I got Camille's phone at the moment because she's out running at the moment. So I saw it, and I was like, oh shoot, I'm cooking ribs right now. So I'm looking at the mail. Oops. See here.
So are you good at cooking ribs? I've never done it myself.
Yeah, I used to work in a restaurant. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
There's ribs, and there's corn. I asked the champ what she wanted. She was like, ribs, so I was like, oh, I'll go get you some ribs.
Perfect.
So how's it going? Loretta just texted me again saying that a woman won the 100K overall.
Yes.
Yes, she did.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, it's very cool.
Yeah, she came in like 12:25, I think, something like that total time.
Wow, very good. And then a woman led the 100 until mile 86 and a half, she said.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's even more impressive. So is the 100 miler over now, or is it still going?
It's still going.
Okay.
We don't have an official winner yet, but
Okay.
we're looking within the half hour, within 20 minutes.
Even 20 minutes.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah.
So I tuned in at the right moment, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
It's about to get exciting.
So, are you present in all of Camille's races? Do you try to get out to all of them? As much
Oh
as you
yeah,
can?
this is what we do now. Yeah, I gave up. I had a pretty successful collegiate coaching career. I was a head coach at a university, and I kind of put that all on the standby list for now to help Camille with her running. Yeah, so yeah, and then we started this coaching business a few years ago, and that's going pretty well. So yeah, so we coach a lot of people all over the world, and yeah, so we're kept busy, but we just moved to Oro Valley, Arizona.
Yeah.
So we literally just this is our new house. Yeah, we just moved in here about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So yeah, so
Oh wow.
getting used to the oven and the ribs, and it's all good.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on your move. So
Yeah, it was too darn cold up in Colorado for us. I'll be honest with you.
Alright,
And
that's what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
we were at 8,000 feet, and the sun shined a lot, but it was like 40 degrees outside. So and it's 93 degrees outside right now. So level